Hello, everyone. We're doing a quick audio check before we start. So, people here, let me know if you can hear me all right. I've got some background music as well. If you guys don't like the background music or if it's like too loud, just let me know. It's all good. I'm just trying this, see if it fills the space a little better. I have no idea. Also, I'm gonna try to see if this copyright-free playlist is really copyright-free. So, maybe we'll get hit with a demonetization or something like that. Hopefully not. But we can hear. Okay, cool. Cool. Oh, let's go. How's it going, everyone? Let's see who's here. I see Mark. What's up, Mark? I see Shangnara. Hello. Kian. Stab. Got Lautaro. Hello. How's it going? Maylene. Hello. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Yeah, we're just gonna get started pretty quick. Hello. Here I am. Is my face cam working? Looks a little dark, but I think that's okay. You can see everything. Play Eminem. That one I will surely get copyrighted for, so I can't do that. But I wonder why it looks really crunchy for some reason. Let's see if I can adjust this really quick. Is that better? I have no idea. Okay, well, whatever. We're not going to be looking at me most of the stream anyways. But yeah, welcome in, everyone. I'm making an Eagle by Joe Nakashima right now. That's a really fun one. I think it might be this one. I'm not sure. I folded this a long time ago. This is either Henry Pham or Joe Nakashima's. I can't remember. All right. As we get into it, I'm going to be saying hi to people as they come in, so feel free to say hi, say what's up in chat. Also, let's see what we're doing today. I know it's been a week. I skipped last week because I really wanted to start on the Square Twist Samurai tutorial. So I used the time that I was streaming to just film a whole bunch. I had planned it out, like very quickly, like this is my notes while filming. Like I just write a ton of notes, try to plan it out. It's hard to create the sequence and then decide how to teach it where I'm not just blitzing through. I actually want people to understand how to fold the model. Even though I kind of say all these scary prerequisites and like people should be able to understand what I'm doing if I go through quickly. But I think the way I teach it as a tutorial, I still want to make sure that even if people are a little bit behind in terms of prerequisites, that they can still kind of understand or get there. I sound very scary, but I'm actually very kind in the tutorial, I guess, or it's very forgiving. But that's going pretty well. That's actually the last thing we'll go through if we have time, is I'll give a little preview of where we are in the collapse and just kind of talking about the direction of the tutorial, as well as saying when the next part is probably going to come out. But I'm hoping that at least with this first week that the Precreasing tutorial has been out, all of you who want to fold along are working on your papers or your Precreasing. An hour and a half of Precreasing is a lot of Precreasing. And that's the reduced version. So, but yeah, the first thing we're going to do though, we're going to check out my new design because there's been a lot of posts recently. Not a lot, but like, in frequency from what I've had over the past few months, I think it's decent. New design, which we've showcased a little bit before, but there's a lot to talk about that model. There's also some cool shorts that were shared in collaboration with me and Mayunshi Origami. It's my friend Michael. So that's very exciting. But you actually saw him in a live stream a little bit ago, perhaps. That's who it was. Okay, let's see. Hershey 2, hello. Welcome in. Soft music in the back seems okay. Yeah. If you guys get annoyed by the music, please let me know. I'll turn it off. We're just experimenting, see if it is a decent fill. And if it's too loud or something, just let me know. Nara Origami. I've mutated from Shang Nara to just Nara because it's easier to say. Nice. Okay. Nara Origami. Gotcha. What's up, Mark? Yo, Mark's been cooking some cool designs too. I think in the next stream we'll show some of the members' posts, and we'll you can see later what they're cooking. Should be pretty cool. Cool band boy. Hello. Love your vids. Thank you. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for tuning into the stream today too. Saying Shangnara is fun though. True. It's the legend from India. Shangnara. Squirrel. Hello boys. Do you know the peacock mantis shrimp from Orist? Took about 3 years to make. Wow. 3 years is a lot of time. There's a lot of mantis shrimp, so I've probably seen it. I'm not sure I know the exact designer off the top of my head, but sounds very complicated. Very cool. They generally are very complicated. Keen, I don't have proper paper for the eagle, but I'm trying. Nice. Well, I wish you good luck with the folding. You can say that too. Just change my channel name and Insta name. Nice. Branding. Hey, Nara Origami, he understands, man. Nara's got it. All right. Peacock mantis shrimp is super complex. It is indeed. Can I get a shout out? I'm your biggest fan. Well, I just said hello, so thank you for tuning in. And thanks for being a fan. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm actually going to turn down the music. It's a little bit too loud for me. Or this song is like way too fast paced. This is supposed to be a chill work study playlist, but that one was like too hype. Okay. Oh, I didn't really go through the whole schedule yet. Okay, so we're checking out the new design. We're folding the dragon, which I advertised on the thumbnail, and we're using cabbage paper, which may be a hot take. I don't think it's a hot take, but I think it's the world's best origami paper at this moment, and I'm going to explain why I think it's the best origami paper. I'm not necessarily saying best paper you can fold origami with. I'm saying best origami paper. I'll explain the differences between that, but just kind of keep that in your head, and you can ask about it as we're folding, because it's a very cool paper. There's a lot of cool things about it besides just the foldability, but the foldability is definitely a strong point. So that's very exciting. And then lastly, yeah, we'll talk about the square to a samurai tutorial, go from there. But let's hop on over to this. I actually have the crease pattern of the model I'm featuring. And actually, before we check on this, let's take a look very quickly at some cool folds from Discord, as we always do. So I'm in Starboard. This is Origami Dan. You guys all know Discord. I like to show what people in the community are folding. I thought this was really cool. This is by Quartzop. It's a Smaug, but it's the Alduin design from Satoshi Kamiya. But he shaped it into Smaug instead of Alduin. So same base structure with the spikes and everything, but shaping into a Smaug, which is really cool. Putting your own spin on an existing model. Very nice. Next we have something by Ani. It's a hand study using arches. So just trying to create a hand grabbing cloth with the square. Very cool idea to wet fold with. Here we have a cat by Kung. Designed by Kung, folded by Devant Shah. Very nice. Devant Shah is an OBB champion. So shaping game is always on point. Very cool cat. Got a beetle here, designed by Kota Imai, folded by Usirun. Kota insects are very complex. This is well folded. What paper? Paper I'm talking about is cabbage paper. Squirrel. There's one in my YouTube channel shorts. The author is Katsukawa Higashi. Wow, that's cool. Nara, once again, I want to appreciate the work you put on making that tutorial. What are your views on the tutorial overall? Are you satisfied? Deep question. All right, I'll get to that. Save that question, Nara, for the section of the stream where I talk about it, maybe. But that's a good question. I think I can talk about that a lot. A great question. We can do an analytics deep dive when we get there. I'm folding your Dragonplay Armor Assassin. Cool stuff. Thank you. Hey, that's a really cool model. I hope you enjoy folding it. It looks crazy complex, but I think the tutorial, I broke it down pretty well. So have fun folding it. A spot. Love the spiral tail. Yeah, on the cat, super nice. This guy wanted to show the underbelly of the Kota insect because oftentimes Kota details the underside of the beetles. Very nice. We have another Satoshi Kamiya fold by Quartziot. This is a cattle. Very nice. Stressed Out, more wet folds by Ani. We're going to go a little bit faster now. David folded a hose-nosed Weevil. Maybe designed it, I think. David's very talented at shaping as well. We've got a Katsuda Kyohei Tiger. Here we have Maple's submission for Death Battle. This is absolutely crazy. The Dragon, Damsel in the Night, or the final. I think I'm going to do an, maybe not on stream, but I want to still talk about the results of the Death Battle. I know things were kind of like delayed and everything, but it'll kind of wrap up that series. And I'll do a quick video on that if I have time, because it's really cool to break down everyone's folds. Oh, also disclaimer, guys. I'm getting over sickness, so I might be coughing a lot. And getting a lot more water, so. I apologize for the cough attacks I will get during the stream. But we're just gonna work through it and have a fun time. Simple Origami made a really nice dolphin. Flat fold 2D. Here we have a Chuya Grim Reaper fold. Very nice. Turtle made an emu. Very cool. Frost, look at all these 2D flat fold designers. These are awesome, man. These are really, really good. Got a frog, some flowers. This is pretty beautiful. I like this. This is by Ironic. Sinking Feeling. This is like you gotta think about it a little bit, but it's a little bit of wordplay in addition to visual, like a visual part of it. We got a sailor, but it's like a recursion as well because it's of the traditional boat with the guy in it, but it's like he's sinking into the boat, which is watercolored, and then he even has the boat as a hat, so it's almost like a recursive type thing. Very, very cool. Anime has a little spaceman. This is for the design contest, I think, with 8 grid. So yeah, there's been Zoonoid Dragon. Look at that. Isn't that cool? There's been a lot of great folds. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through all of them, but if you want to see more for yourself, feel free to browse Origami Dan Discord. It is pretty impressive stuff. So always good to see the level of origami. I actually gave a talk to the CFC about just general origami stuff. If they post that, I'll share it later. I think I talked about some really interesting things, but one of the facts that was brought up was about Origami Dan and how it's one of the largest collections of complex folders as a community in the world. And then it's just like, just scrolling just a little bit, we can see how much crazy things are being folded. Here's one of my posts. Here's the Bailu. So I guess I got on the starboard as well for this. But yeah, crazy collection of folds and folders. So always really impressive. Let's move on though a little bit to this design because I don't want to take too much time away from this. This looks pretty cool, right? Now, I posted the crease pattern and it's only this so far. I've gotten multiple requests to make a Mountain Valley version so you guys can start to fold it. I was thinking of maybe doing that in the stream, but I think it'll take too long. But I will do that once I have some time. It'll probably take me like an hour, maybe less, just to get everything nice. Probably not an hour, maybe like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. But yeah, it's just a little tedious if I add more of the shaping stuff to figure out how all the details work. But pretty cool, right? You guys ready to see it? Let me see chat really quick. Nicholas, hello. Thanks for joining the stream. Hamid asks, I'm folding your... Oh, you already answered that. I read that. Dragon so epic. True. Kian, I'm such a big fan. You're talented. You make the best origami. You do cool flips. Hey, thank you, man. Yeah, I try to blend some of my different hobbies together. For a while, I kept them separate. I just didn't know how to do flips and integrate that with origami. But now that I've done some YouTube short stuff, like visual hooks are a thing, so it works. So it's fun to share both. Hershey, kind of random question, but have you tried dyeing your Legion mulberry? It's a good question. Let's take a look at some examples. Should we now? I have dyed it twice. The allergy is relatable, yeah, for sure. So this is my design called Alone. It was originally a test fold when I was working on posing and understanding human structures more. So this is an old fold, but this is Legion mulberry paper. It's when you cut a sheet after you treat the whole thing, you get left over with these like 25 centimeter squares. And so I just used them for test folds, but this one kind of turned out nicely. I also dyed this gray. So my original process, I was trying to make this more of a metallic color, but I didn't realize how light an acrylic dye really was because I didn't understand its properties as much. I was only used to painting, 100% acrylics on a canvas in the past and mixing acrylic with acrylic, not mixing acrylic with MC. So instead of being like a dark gunmetal gray, it came out as this light gray, pretty muted light gray, but it kind of looks nice as a light gray. And this paper actually was a piece of the same paper that made the square twist samurai. So this is dyed Legion paper. Actually, maybe, just kidding, I lied. This was a different branch, but this is also a dyed Legion paper. I think this might have been take 2 of that. You can see how it's a little darker than this one. This one is also an attempt, I think, when I was trying to dye paper, but it was too light or something. This one, I guess I tried to do maybe a second coat and it got a shade darker, but obviously nowhere close to like a gunmetal gray. An undyed Legion mulberry looks like this. So you can see like this is raw. This is one layer of dye. This is just basically dye as in acrylic plus MC. This is maybe 2 or just a thicker addition of acrylic. And now all of this was done before I made my ultimate paper guide, where I got my friends to tell and share and teach how they dye papers. If I'd known that in the past from my own guide, I think I would have been a bit more successful. But that's why I had them do that video, not me myself, because my attempts weren't so great. But hopefully that answers your question, Nara. Not Nara. Who asked that one? Hershey asked that. Hopefully that answers y'all's question about dyeing Legion mulberry. It's very good for dyeing and painting. I also dyed one orange, and I used a lot of acrylic there. That one worked very well. Oh, actually, the other Phoenix, the Phoenix I did in the actually death battle, I totally forgot. That was also an orange. So I did a square twist samurai orange that I sold. That was the one that sold for like 3,500 or 4,000, something like that. And then I did the Phoenix against the Tadashi Mori. That was also paint or orange dyed, orange acrylic dyed. But as we talk about dyes, I want to show you a painting experiment. This is not a dye. This is painting of this new design that was really effective because I actually learned how to do things properly. And that is with the Lost Guardian, my newest design. And just look at this paint job, right? Look at this paint job. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I know I posted this on Instagram and there's a reel featuring it, but I think even just the photo doesn't show the lighting highlights and details you really get from looking at this model from more angles. If I just rotate it slightly, you can see the way the light bounces off the paint. You can kind of see different things with how the folds are done. And maybe even a little bit on how the paint job is done. Right? So it's not one solid color for sure. In fact, like, what colors do you guys see? Let me know in chat. What color do you guys think this actually is? Among Us 74604. Hello, hello. Thank you for tuning into my stream. We're going over some origami today. I'm going to be folding something, but thanks for tuning in. Right now, we're checking out one of my new designs. Let me know what you think. And as we do that, I'm going to drink some water so I don't cough. Unfortunately, I don't have the one that Mayu folded. He took it back with him. Of course. Because he needed to finish it. So he actually didn't have it painted until I finished this one, which was a little bit after the one I folded originally. Was this one. So these two are the same design, but this one was the test fold. I think maybe some of you were here when I was folding it, and I didn't really like the helmet, and the pose was like cool, but not, you know, it didn't work super well. I think this one actually, in terms of posing, has some issues as well, depending on the angle you look at it. If you look at it from this angle, it looks, you know, everything's pretty much okay. If you look at it from this angle, the neck is like a little bit too long and the helmet is a little bit bulky for the shoulders. But the legs and the torso is all pretty decent. I think it's still just like the head that I really did not nail, in addition with the neck. But you just don't look at those, it's okay, right? The other angles are pretty cool. Bluish silver, nice. I like that. That's kind of the effect for sure. What is your favorites from the CFC challenge entries? Oh, I haven't checked those out yet, but I should check those out. That's a good question, Charles. I'm gonna try to remember that for maybe a stream to go over. Shiny metallic, true. Warhammer paint tech goes crazy. You are 100% right, Stab. Did I mention that it somewhere about Warhammer? Oh, maybe I did in the description. If you guys are Warhammer fans, I did a recent deep dive into Warhammer, partially because I wanted to understand the paint techniques, and then I just got hooked on the lore. Another question is the Legion Mulberry you use machine-made rolls or the handmade sheets? Because that probably makes a difference for dyeing. I think I remember you said you got free sheets. I actually don't know, Hershey, if they make them in machined rolls or if they do handmade sheets at first. On the website, it says handmade, but a lot of times that means handmade fibers machined. Because it's in bulk, I always likely think it's machined. I'm not sure though. But either way, it worked well, so I think it's okay. It's good enough, at least. It's not going to be something like cabbage paper, which I'm going to show soon, which the dye is pigmented into the handmade process. And so like that color is a lot more resilient than anything I would be able to do to Legion paper afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, maybe not like the best, but Legion paper, it'll get you 90% towards anything, I'd say. Looks like an old copper statue. Yeah, so definitely in the photo I post, it looks kind of like the rusted copper, which is kind of like an aquamarine color. Here with my current lighting, which is a little bit warmer, you kind of see more of like a blue tint to a silver or a steel, which is really neat. So what's my Discord? Yo, Mark, are you able to drop Origami Darren Discord link down below? I'm not sure if, can you make a, do you have perms on Darren to drop an invite link? If you don't, no worries. But cool band boy, you have to be age 13 or older. If you are, you can join. If not, just wait. But I'll get to that in a second. True, Mark. What did Mark say? Looks, oh yeah, Mark was totally correct. It's a grand statue. Yeah, so that's kind of how the name Lost Guardians turned out, because both me and Mayu were able to kind of get this color. The way I did this is like what Stab mentioned, is I just looked up this is my first YouTube search, right? It was painting metallic or painting like a true metal finish with acrylics. And then the first thing that pops up is kind of using some sort of armor as a miniature, you know, and showing different ways you can use acrylic paints to get a metallic effect on plastic. And then I was like, all right, looks like there's a whole community on this. Let's look up miniatures, you know, painting miniatures, different techniques for that. And I just went down all these techniques, and I slowly found that, you know, like 80% of those people are painting Warhammer miniatures. And I'd always heard of Warhammer. I'd seen the games, I'd seen some of the tabletop stuff, but never really like dove into it at all or played any of the games. Thought it was cool, but you know, because there's like mechs and orcs, and I just had no idea what it was. But I watched all those techniques, applied them here, and then later went down a deep dive into the lore of Warhammer, which is actually very cool. It's such a fascinating story, and the lore has spanned like 40 years of development. You know, like people have been writing books on it for decades. Really cool stuff. If you guys are Warhammer fans, based. It's a really cool, really cool universe. But the techniques I applied is this was actually a tie unryu paper. So it was a black ink tie, color black, and it has those super long like strands and fibers running through the paper. You would not be able to tell that now, right? Like even if I go over, I don't think there's even a section that I could show that really reveals that anymore. And the reason for that is because after I shaped it, I did a primer coat, a coat of black primer. So I just used a spray can, spray primer, and I made sure it was like not glossy. So this is a satin, so it's a little bit more matte. It's not completely matte, but it's not like super shiny because that's what they recommend. So paint primer, and that basically allows me to apply acrylic to paper in a similar way that would be on plastic. Now, paper doesn't really react the same as plastic, but I got pretty close to some of the effect, and you can still kind of see the results of it being paper instead of it being plastic where there's no smooth finish. I think that's totally fine. It lets you see it's still origami. So it was a black primer. Then over it, I went with a base coat. And I did the base coat in like a dark zinc acrylic paint. And that one, I watered it down a little bit. And basically it has the zinc. And then anywhere I kind of missed in that base coat, you see the black. So there's already a lot of contrast and the depths. Like even if I turn it to this side where you can see the base coat, this is the zinc base coat. And anywhere I missed, it would be black because of the primer. So it really works for contrast. Then on top of that, I did something called slap chop, which is you then take white paint and you dry brush it. So we've seen dry brushing a lot in origami, right? We saw in some Death Battle, we've seen it from Kate Chan years ago. In this case, because I'd done those two prior steps and the dry brush is white, it's just to show highlights. So you can even see here, it's really shiny on raised areas. It's lighter, and it's partially because of the paint and light, but also because there's actual white that was dry brushed on. And after that dry brushing, then I created this wash of a very little bit of blue acrylic paint with a sterling silver acrylic. So it's like mostly sterling silver, like 30% water, and one droplet of blue. And washing that over the model gives it this tint where you can still kind of see the zinc underneath it. But when you look at it in light, it gives off that blue. And then because I did the dry brush with white, all the highlights pop up. And that's kind of how you get this effect. And the last thing I did one more, sorry, I called it a wash. It was a glaze. Is it a glaze? I think it was a glaze, a blue metallic glaze. Last step was a black acrylic wash, which is like 80% water, 20% black acrylic. And I just filled in some of the recesses just to get contrast back. So it basically what I'm saying, this was a big process, right? A big process to get this paint technique, but I think it turned out really cool. I think it turned out a lot better than me just spray painting it black and dry brushing, right? Because we've seen that a lot. It is cool, but I think this adds quite a bit more to everything. There's just more volume, perhaps, in the colors, if that's the right word. So yeah, maybe some of you can get into it if you like painting. This was very fun for me to learn and experiment with. I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm bringing this to MIT, which brings us to our next topic pretty soon of what I'm folding. And I think people there will be very impressed when they see the finish of this model. Because even on camera, it looks cool, but in person, you really see the color. Like, it's crazy. Thanks, Mark, for dropping that link. This is one of those origamis which does not look like it's made from paper. Yeah, it does mask that it's from paper. Like, if you didn't tell someone it's origami, they might not really guess. If you don't like his neck, put a length of ribbon / fiber on it, a token from his late. Oh, hey, that is smart. That's a smart spot. Can I make my own ancient dragon? I don't think I can make an ancient dragon that looks like Satoshi's. I've made a few dragons. I've got my own dragons for sure. They have multiple heads, but they're not quite an ancient dragon. I had one that was kind of close. It was the, do I have it? What did I call it? I think it was the generic dragon. It's kind of similar, but doesn't look as great. It's a little bit janky too. Does the paint affect the paper's foldability? Well, so this is done after I folded everything. So I folded, shaped, and then primed. And from that point, I probably can't unfold the paper because the primer, like spray paint, kind of really makes a protective layer over the paper, which is good. Actually, I could probably dunk this in water and it would be okay. But it does kind of like solidify and finish off the origami to the point where you can't really fold it anymore. So I would not spray paint paper beforehand. You know, I have done that kind of where I tried to put a layer of paint thickly on paper beforehand, but it was like really crumbly and I didn't like it. So I don't think you should do that. Mark, I should say the link's on a file. Yo, me too, honestly. Nara, random question. How much time does it take for paper to dry there? Here it only takes 30 minutes. Here with a fan. I was surprised to hear that Bodo is not usual. I used to think this is normal. Yeah, this depends on humidity. So if you guys have attended for a while, I live in 2 parts of the United States. I travel back and forth depending on times of the year. That's just kind of my living scenario. But the place I am now is a very humid environment. Super humid. It rains. It gets cold. Sometimes it gets hot, but most of the year it's rainy and humid. It takes paper a long time to dry here. I have to pretty much do everything overnight. So like 6 hours plus of drying. The other place I live is a desert. It's one of the driest places in America. Over there, paper dries in like 1 hour or less, maybe 30 minutes even, like Nara's. So I've experienced both different climates. If you live in a climate that's not humid, it very much helps your paper dry super quick. So yeah, definitely depends. I have basically both scenarios depending where I am. Nathan, I just joined. What paper did you use? What's up, Nathan? Thanks for asking. This is a Thai Unryu paper that was painted. And since you just joined, you can watch back when the stream's over on the entire process I did of all the paint, but it is quite a process. Let me get some water right now. Okay, I'm in school right now. I have free time. Nice. Make sure you pay attention though when you have class. Or if you want to make an ancient dragon, just shape it into a very tired pose in a local. Hey, that's a good point. That's a good point. I guess I can make an ancient dragon, or I could make a dragon and also just do like a rusted look. I actually do want to do a rusted look, and that kind of brings me to our next topic. On the dragon I'm folding today. Let's get these guys out of the way. This is anyone? Any guesses? Any guesses? Let's let chat guess. What does it look like? And let's see who's watched all my YouTube videos. If they can get the right answer. Tadashi Mori's dragon? Yes. Looks like we got some good guesses. You guys are right. You guys are very smart. So I actually have a lot of them. I'm teaching this at Origami, the MIT Origami convention that's coming up soon. This one is actually an old fold, so if you watch my previous videos, I talked about this. These ones are new. This one was me trying to remember how I folded this one. So this is with Legion Mulberry. A little bit messy because I had to mess around. I couldn't remember what it was, what the divisions were, but it's pretty nice still, even if it's unshaped. And then this one's with Kami because I have to teach it. And I need to teach people who might not have Legion Mulberry, but have or basically I'm giving them all Kami, 35 centimeter Kami to fold it with. Now I did wet fold this a little bit. I've only applied methyl cellulose to the neck and to the tail, just to keep those things together. As you can see naturally with all the layers, this one's completely unshaped, but the tail is very bouncy. And sort of neck layers, adding pleats helps it a little bit, but it's still too wide. You can't really do anything with it. Little bit of MC. And it's good enough with Kami. Looks like we got some folders from India. See, seeing where you guys live. Too far away. So sad. India is such a big country. Mr. G, hello. Pocket Dragon from Square, true. You guys are technically all right. It's a Tadashi Mori dragon. It's the Pocket Dragon. It's also a modified Darkness Dragon. Or a modified Pocket Dragon. And yeah, it's basically the premise. It was the Pocket Dragon, which, let me grab the Pocket Dragon. Here's a Pocket Dragon from A4. Very elegant design, I must say. For the complexity, or lack of complexity, yet overall finish, this is one of the best dragons, I think, out there. It's very close to what I would say is like Shukikado's Simple Dragon, but Shukikado's Simple Dragon is not simple to fold. This one is very easy to fold. And you can fold it with A4. You can fold it with printer paper. Totally fine. There's no wet folding at all. It just works. Beautiful design by Tadashi Mori. Probably my favorite dragon besides the Darkness Dragon. My only complaint with the Pocket Dragon is that its head is too simple. So we solve that by putting the Darkness Dragon head on the pocket dragon, right? Isn't that cool? So I have permission from Tadashi. I messaged him directly and asked and told him what I was doing. He already knew about this modification, but I refreshed his memory. And he's allowed me to teach at Origami and use teach any of his designs if I wanted to, which is very kind of him. I know a lot of you might miss him. I miss him a lot too. He's just busy, but it's very nice that he took time to give me permission to teach and kind of allow the origami community to see some of his work because they're very cool. I would be doing origami if it wasn't for his channel. Actually, I think the first origami video on this channel was of me making a Darkness Dragon 2.0. So like it goes deep, you know what I'm saying? But regardless, all that, this is a very cool design. I'm going to be folding it today. I want to make a disclaimer. This is not a tutorial. So, you're not going to be able to fold along. I'm going to make sure I go fast enough and not explain anything because I don't want this to be a tutorial. There may be a day I do a tutorial. There's not really a need to do a tutorial because 90% of it is Tadashi Mori's Pocket Dragon tutorial, which already exists. There's just like the modification that I did, but uses the exact same structures. I just work within the structures to create this. So if you're good enough at origami that you can guess that, go ahead. But I have made a crease pattern as well. I think I can show it. I'm going to leak it a little bit. Don't tell anyone, guys. Just everyone live right here. You get to see it. And I call this the Dark Pocket Dragon. That's the crease pattern. It looks crazy, right? It looks crazy, but a lot of it is hinges. Yeah. It is what it is. It looks crazy to teach. It's actually very simple. Let's get folding it. I need to memorize the process. So that's one of the reasons why I've folded 3 of them. I actually did a 4th with a smaller paper, but it was too small. I was just practice for the references. But this is kind of practice for me. This is also going to be a very nicely folded one because like the one from Kami is just decent, but it's Kami. Now I want to make like a presentable one for the exhibition. That's like super nice, but this one is more for the class of like, hey guys, I'm bringing you this exact same paper. This is what it can look like for this class. So let's, fold it. All right. But what other paper today to use than the best origami paper in the world, made by Cabbage Paper, titled Cabbage Paper. And so Hershey was asking about dyeing paper. This paper, the color comes from the process that it's made to become a paper. And if you want to learn about that process, me and Matt actually taught a class about it, where Matt gave a lecture on his entire process. That was recorded and is on his channel. If you go to my channel and go to the community post, I believe I've shared the link there. So you can just scroll down a little bit to find it. You could watch it to see how this was made, why the color is so strong, why the paper is so strong, and why it's so good objectively. And he even has scans with a microscope to show you the close, tight knit bonds that the paper fibers make. That makes this paper so thin, but so strong and great for origami. Now, for my opinion on why this is the best origami paper is because this paper is made by a complex, dare I say, super complex origami folder and designer. So similar to how Michael LaFosse and Richard Alexander very much pioneered advanced origami as they were starting to make origami dough and allowed that to be used by Robert Lang, Satoshi Kamiya, likes of those. very well, that's great origami paper too. The studio has slowed down a little bit, and they mainly sell the scraps that they don't personally use for their artworks. So that's why Origami dough, in terms of what you can buy, isn't necessarily the top of the line stuff. It's kind of the leftovers that you get, unless you actually go to their studio and make it yourself. But also their origami, which is very complex. It's still back in the 2000s, the 90s, stuff like that. This is modern origami here. The crazy box plate insects we see nowadays. Everything post the bug wars, when origami has really blown up. Crease patterns are normalized, everything like that. Matt learned all that stuff. He knows how to design. He knows the softwares. He's studied from what Richard Alexander and Michael LaFosse have done and used all that knowledge now to bring us this new cabbage paper with the knowledge of knowing how to fold and design very complex things to back up how good it is. So yeah, that's why I think this is the best origami paper ever. Other companies, they aren't as good at origami as Matt is. They don't have the insight. They don't know what we complex origami folders want because they can't do it themselves, but Matt can. So that's why I highly recommend this paper. I'm going to be folding it today. It's very thin. It's very beautiful. You can even see there's like a mica powder sheen. It's shiny naturally. No paint needed. Beautiful origami paper. And I've done these folds myself just to get it ready. And already it was very satisfying. Very, very satisfying. This is cabbage paper. Yes, this is cabbage paper. Boys, how hard is Darkness Dragon? It's not hard. There's only one confusing part, and that's the section of collapsing the center of the legs together. It's basically a squashed bird base, but the way Tadashi shows it in his tutorial might not seem like that, so it gets confusing. It's not very hard to fold. It's not beef. It was for fun. Nice. First he had beef with Tadashi. Now, yeah, we were always great friends, I'd say. Or once we became, I was his fan, and then we became friends. And through the friends, we initiated some fun, entertaining rivalry, is what I'll say. We're gonna fold that dragon with a bill. No, I don't think so. Hopefully you can one day organize a big event in India. True. I wish that for that as well. Yummy engineered paper. Exactly. It's concerning how many people in India don't know about origami. It's growing. It's very much growing. Oh, thank you, Mark. Yeah, Mark's the best, guys. Shout out to Mark. Thank you, Mark, for putting that link. If you always want to check out why cabbage paper objectively is good, like scientifically good, you can check that out. See how it's made. What's up, Aiden? Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you for the compliment on origami. We're going to start folding. And if you have questions, let me know. I think that's cabbage paper class. I'm going to assume it is. How big does the paper need to make this? This was like under 30 centimeters. This was 30 centimeters, but it's foil. This was 35 centimeter kami. I think to get a good result, this is the best size. It can definitely be folded smaller, but you run the risk of like, do you guys see how small the eye is? Right? You run the risk of having a messy finish. Now, the pocket dragon, again, which has a tutorial. This stream is not a tutorial. This you can make with 15 centimeter kami. And if you use A4, which is this, it's still really good size. So I think this is that's why this is such an amazing dragon. You can fold it really tiny with mediocre paper and get a good result. This modification, it's still pretty flexible. You might be able to make it out of A4. Because actually it'll be the same size. It's just the head will be small. Maybe I'll try it from A4 and see, but maybe, I don't know. It probably won't be great. Yeah, let me get folding. Again, not a tutorial, guys, but we're just having fun. I'm gonna try to read chat as I'm folding, But this is mainly for me to memorize the sequence. So I'm very much doing this all by memory right now. But like before, I'd folded a ton of pocket dragons, so I had the pocket dragon memorized. So after a quick refresher, like it's been maybe a year and a half since I last folded one, or 2 years, but it was very easy to remember how to fold it again. Can I use 21 centimeters? Again, maybe. It kind of depends on your skill level as well. So, less so a question for me, more so a question for you. But try the pocket dragon. Hey, Mark, if I can bother you with one more link, can you drop Tadashi Mori's pocket dragon tutorial in the chat? Hey guys, don't follow along with me, but if you want to fold, make the pocket dragon. Because if you follow along with me, you will 100% get lost on the head. But if you want to fold a cool dragon, just fold the tutorial. You can fold it along with the stream, but don't follow me. Because I will not help you. I will tell you that now. There is no help here that's going to happen. Because this is not a tutorial. This is just a showcase. And preparation for my class. Thank you. Thank you. I'll fold it with the crease pattern. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. The exception is if you guys can fold it from the crease pattern, you can go ahead and do that. Whether you took a quick screenshot or you're in the members channel, if you're a YouTube member, you can see it as well. The member Discord, I mean. Okay, I was trying to remember the references there. So I think it's this. Can you make a tutorial for the one head dragon that you featured in the dragon short? No, that one you have to earn. So I made a tutorial for the two-headed dragon. And if you fold that tutorial, you get the crease pattern. And if you folded the two-head dragon, basically, by using that tutorial, you can fold the crease pattern for the one-head dragon. It's pretty similar in terms of like what would be hard about it. Basically, the only requirements is if you've never folded a crease pattern before, if you watch my crease pattern class and then also fold the tutorial for the two-head dragon, you will probably be able to fold the one-headed dragon. So I won't be making a tutorial for that one. That one's like a goal for you guys. Sorry about that. I think it's a good goal. I think it's a good push. I think a lot of people have done the challenge originally not thinking they could do it and then doing it, and now they've opened themselves up to folding all kinds of complex origami. Thanks, I'm waiting for tissue foil. I don't think you can fold it with tissue foil. That would not be a good choice for my one-head dragon. This design you can fold with tissue foil. I was talking about the origami in India. It's changing gradually. I mean, you also can't blame people. Origami community in India is young and growing. Yes. Right, you can't, there's no one to blame. There's just moving forward. I like that way of thinking, Nara. Yeah, there's I think it's really growing. I think it's growing like in terms of the growth percentage of people, or at least even for my analytics, a lot of my viewers, almost an equal amount of my viewers, are from India compared to every other country combined, except for the United States. Which is pretty impressive. Because it was not like that before when I started. So I am very much excited for how that growth will show in the future for India. You know, there are already, even before my time, some folders from India or maybe living in a different country, but origin from India, like Neelish Kumar. He was doing complex origami figures before I was, even, with some crazy cool stuff. Then on the geometric side, we have Meenakshi, who pioneered a lot of geometric stuff. And then we have, like, for representational, you have Himanshu, and he's done a lot of like animals and installation arts and stuff like that. Yeah, there's it's growing. And now from the internet, box pleat stuff, maybe from my crease pattern class. We've got like Kagazi magazine, India's first origami magazine. We've got Nara, who's a complex designer, super complex designer and folder. Very good at box pleating and figures. So we got like the human figure origami now. We've got yeah, there's a lot. Nice. I'll fold this model when my paper arrives. Another question: where do you buy origami paper? You can look on my website. I wrote a blog about paper and the paper I get, and also what I think of it and what it's good for. Because a lot of paper is not good for everything. They're good for specific things. So like tissue foil, I mentioned, would not be good for my dragon, but it'd be good for this dragon. Stuff like that. I explained Legion Mulberry. I need to add cabbage paper to my website. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But Matt just very recently started selling it online. I wish I could do crease patterns. Well, your wish can come true by following my crease pattern class that I've made. That'll teach you how to fold them. And then you'll be able to fold crease patterns. Voice, do you know a paper that can be used to make slightly complex models? This paper, cabbage paper, double tissue. I think if you haven't already, Kian, and anyone else asking about paper, you all should watch my ultimate paper guide, because I think a lot of the questions you're asking will be answered there, plus more. Like, how do you make it yourself? What are the requirements once you get the paper? You know, what can you do with the paper? Like coloring it, and all that sort of stuff. It's very much called the ultimate guide for a good reason. Crease pattern. Oh, Mark's the best, guys. Once again, another example on Mark being awesome. Thanks, Mark. Where can we get cabbage paper in India? It's not sold to India at the moment. It's very new paper. So unfortunately, Matt is only able to sell it. I think he can ship to Europe. I don't know if he's started yet, but it's hard to get unless you're in the States. I bought this actually in person from Matt himself at the convention. How do you get 1.5 meter paper that models need? Yeah, again, I talk about that in the Ultimate Paper Guide, specifically the video on how to make giant origami paper. You cannot get that paper. You have to make it. So voice became a genie. That's right, guys. I think my channel, I've made so many videos making people's wishes into reality. Like the Square Twist Samurai tutorial that's coming out. It's in the process of being made, and crease pattern class, the Ultimate Paper Guide, convention vlogs, the OBB competition. I think I've done a pretty decent job, eh? What's up, Wonko? Hello, hello. Craft is perfect, beginner paper awesome. Yes, absolutely. I've made some very complex things from craft. And you can use the giant paper technique I talk about with craft as well. Because that's what I did to make a 2.4 meter paper to make a gigantic origami samurai. Was it great to use? No, not really, but it was possible to use. That's the important part right there. Daniel Diaz, I ordered some paper from Origami Shop. I'm in the Bay Area. It took over 2 weeks to get here. Yeah, the French one is hard to get because of shipping. They're shipping it. I think customs just takes a while, depending on what shipping you choose. If you're in the Bay Area, Daniel, you should go to Paper Tree, which is in Japantown, San Francisco. And if you can't go there, you can order online. You probably should just go there. But I just ordered online. Look at this. $14 for 35 centimeter kami that I'm gonna give to my class for this dragon. It's the same stuff. I used to fold this. 50 sheets. $14. That's crazy. That's so much cheaper than Origami Shop, I think. At least for 35 centimeter. And this is the Toyo brand, the Japanese kami. It's the good stuff. The stuff that's actually square. There's a lot of 35 centimeter kami out there that's not cut square. This one is the good stuff, and it's cheap. So you can go in person and just look for this. You can ask for it. The people will help you. Also, you can see my origami displayed in person at Paper Tree. And perhaps buy a copy of my little dragon diagrams, which are right now only available from Paper Tree. They also sell origami dough and mulberries and unrus and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're in the Bay Area, yeah, I've been there twice. Okay, yeah, so you already know. You already know. I don't think you really need Origami Shop. So I was just plugging for Paper Tree because I think they're awesome. You could probably find anything you would want from Origami Shop at Paper Tree. You might just have to look a little closer to find the stuff you want for complex origami and stuff like that. Kagazi sells their double tissue for $2.99 for 50 cm. Is so much cheaper than the fancy paper you'll buy outside India. There you go. Kagazi solving issues for India. Yeah, it's hard to ship from Origami Shop to India as well. I've done it before. I sent a Kagazi member some books and paper. And then I had to pay like the India tax for the parcel as well, so they could receive it, and that was expensive. So if you can get stuff just locally from India, that's probably your best bet. Is that White Dragon Tadashi Mori's design or yours? So it's kind of like a collaboration. They're both Tadashi Mori's designs separately, but my portion of it was I smashed them together to make this dragon. So it's a combination of two of Tadashi's designs, which is the Darkness Dragon 2.0 and the Pocket Dragon, and I've combined it into the Dark Pocket Dragon using my knowledge of crease patterns and origami design. I have some more modern knowledge than Tadashi has of designing in this manner. So that's how I was able to do this. And then I got his permission to teach it. So that was the collaboration aspect of it. But it's very much Tadashi's design. So I'm not like claiming it. And if I ever post it, it's kind of my design, I guess. But I'm always going to have Tadashi's name with it because it just does. He just deserves the credit for most of it. You know what I mean? Boys cross the streams. That's an interesting way to phrase it. Demjaren, hello. Thank you for watching on Twitch. Are you watching on both as you normally do? What's up? I'm using 50 centimeter full disc from crease pattern. Maybe too much, but we'll try to add some. Nice. Yeah, you'll be able to do some nice shaping, Nara. Like you can see that I added some pleats to the neck here. You can probably add more and use the layers to do something fancy. You probably do a little bit more detail with the horns and the face as well. And maybe add some pleats to the tail. And with the overlapping pleats either do some more tail spikes or like scales. And you might even be able to point split the toe into claws. So that those are just as a heads up things you might be able to do because there's a chance you get ahead of me. Kian, I can finally get good paper. There you go, Kian. Look at that. A voice stream connecting folders from India together. More wishes coming true. All right, I forget the pre-creasing for this section. So I'm gonna look at my pre-crease pattern. Okay, it's like that. I've gotten a lot better at following diagrams, but some of them can be really frustrating, like Robert Lang Scorpion and Black. Oh yeah, I mean, even for me, that Black Devil Anglerfish would take time to get through. And it's probably actually not something that's hard. It's more so that they're hard to understand. The folding might not be so difficult. It's just hard to understand. Now, in the exception, I know Robert Lang. So I heard this story from John Montrell. The Black Devil Anglerfish was kind of meant to be unfoldable. Like the diagram was made because it was hard to fold. And in the diagram, you do steps like folding a rabbit ear and unsinking the rabbit ear layer underneath to make a bird base or a petal fold or frog base or whatever. That's super cursed. You like don't need to do that. You can just squash fold and petal fold and get the same result. But the diagram step looks like way crazier, and it's like super small for all those crazy tiny spikes. There was someone I met working on like a better sequence, an easier sequence for that specific model. I don't know if they finished it or published it anywhere. But yeah, in terms of that one's probably gonna be hard. So don't worry if you like, you don't have to reach a benchmark of that to fold almost any other diagram. The other exception would be Shuki Kato. But again, Shuki Kato's, it's more that it's hard to understand because you probably don't understand the crease patterns of tilted grid design. And if you don't have that background knowledge, some of those diagram steps don't make any sense. So it's not any fault on you, or like, it's just hard to understand. Not actually like difficult to fold. But if you start, just keep folding and you'll get used to it, and they'll be easier and easier to understand with time. And that's ultimately the skills you're trying to develop. Okay, so here I need to create a good folding sequence for this. One, two, three. Yeah, I'm gonna have to refine this part during my class, I think. Okay, this works as a... Yeah, like as I'm doing this, I'm trying to teach, or I'm trying to think how I want to teach this pre-creasing to make it as quick as possible, perhaps. Quick and not scary. I think keeping it simple like this probably is the best way. Once I have those two lines, everything has a reference point. Western Dragon from Shuki Kato. Yeah, that one's hard. That one's hard too. That one's not as hard though. Like that one is more regular. Now, actually, there's some weird syncs in that one. Weird like rotations, but the steps aren't too bad. It's again, there's just some that are hard to understand. I mean, the fact that I did that one with 3.4 meter paper, was it 3.4, 3.2 meter paper? Means it's not too bad. You know what I mean? It's not too bad. I think the Black Devil Anglerfish is probably harder. Although I've never fully done the Black Devil Anglerfish, so maybe the Black Devil Anglerfish is easy now. I should give it a shot. I tried it once when I was very young and had no idea much about origami, and it felt impossible. I got a good ways through, but it was just crazy. Now I could probably do it fine. I just don't know how hard it would be. Kian says, "Hi voice, I just want to say your paper making videos has been life changing to me. I realized I could not fold any model in the world just from a few, or I realized that I could fold any model in the world just from a few cheap sheets of paper." Look at that. Thank you, Kian. Not a paid chatter, guys. I was sorry, kid. If you weren't here earlier, people were asking about like what papers to use, and I was telling them I answered all your questions in my Ultimate Paper Guide. Your comment was the perfect advertisement on the results of watching my Ultimate Paper Guide classes. So hey, I'm very thankful that you watched them and enjoyed them, and that gave you so much freedom, right? So I hope for the other people who are watching right now, you can see that result and go ahead and watch that for yourselves as well, because it really opens up a lot of opportunities for yourself on what you can fold. And I'm super happy for you, Kian, that you have that realization, because it is absolutely true. And I think that realization and that confidence is going to get you very far in your origami folding journey. I think a lot of people get stuck on not knowing what paper to use, or thinking they can't access paper for harder complex models, and they get stuck there. And that's why in that Ultimate Paper Guide, I call it a skill, not like a requirement, because once you have that skill, now you realize you have that freedom, and it's very exciting. It's very, very exciting. So yeah, I'm excited for you. That sounds awesome. Okay, this next section, what exactly do I have to pre-crease? What do I not have to pre-crease? I think I don't really need to pre-crease anything. Okay. I'm gonna try not to pre-crease much here and just do it in sequence. All right, that's not too bad, right? Now, this is the first time I'm actually folding with cabbage paper, like a full model. I gotta say, a lot of times thin papers can be very hard to invert creases. This paper is pretty easy to invert creases. This is very nice. Like single tissue, reversing a crease with single tissue is kind of a pain. Like this isn't as easy as like A4 paper or Kami, but it is reacting very well to just some light, I mean, you can probably see it in the stream. I just inverted that crease very easily. I just gave it some direction, and boom. Very nice, actually. I'm quite impressed by how well that responded. I like banana paper. Banana paper is great. Generally, it runs on the thicker side, but it's very fun to fold with. Some of them can be thin enough for complex stuff too. Max, I'm making an ancient dragon out of A4. Mark is right. You are a savage for that, Max. I don't recommend that generally. But if you think you can do it, go for it. But I recommend you try not to. Maybe if I don't know. If it's fun, then go for it. If you want a nice ancient dragon, then use a better paper for sure. If you don't know where to get that paper, you can watch my ultimate paper guide, and that will give you guidance on what paper to use for making the ancient dragon. Do you ever get burned out doing origami? No. Now, have I gotten burned out before? Yes, I have definitely gotten burned out before. And from that experience, I have set some rules for myself in order to not get burned out from origami. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys read my comments on my videos. I read all the comments on my videos and I try to respond to every single one, at least new ones. Like if people are, dropping a whole conversation, I probably won't respond to all that. But at least try to answer every question that people ask. And I get a lot of design or tutorial requests and stuff like that. And my rule of thumb is I will only fold and design what I want to fold and design. So even if people have really good ideas, I might acknowledge that idea and be like, that is a good idea. It would be cool, but I won't actually do it unless I personally want to do it. And that's because in the past, I was swayed by various things, from comments, from competitions, from other things, to fold things that I did not want to fold. And that got me burned out. And there's like a lot of weird expectation and stuff like that that comes with that. And from that learning experience, I decided I am the one who decides what I make. Not everyone else. I don't let public opinion, stuff like that ever sway that. The first IOIO competition I participated in, I was in university. I had a ton of final exams to study for. I tried to pull an all-nighter for like 5 days in a row to finish. Completely burned out, right? So bad idea. And there was some designs I didn't really want to fold, so they weren't that great. Those experiences brought me to here, where I can just keep pumping out origami. I don't even care what people think about it. I think it's fun to share. If they like it, that's cool. If I like it, that's cool. If I don't like it, I learn from it. And I like that, and that helps. That kind of mentality really helps me not burn out. Ever. That's the goal. Never, ever burn out. And especially since I do this as content creation is very easy to burn out in too. Making videos, right? Making shorts, all that sort of stuff, worrying about views, trying to make money. Very easy to burn out. But again, I have that principle of slow and steady. Slow and steady. I'm only really competing against myself. And as long as I'm doing it, I'm doing well. So that's basically, I need to make sure I never stop. So slow and steady. That's my advice for you guys if you are interested in getting into the content creation game. I know a lot of people have tried to start YouTube channels for origami. 90% of them quit because it's hard. They don't realize it's hard until they do it, which is totally fine. I encourage people to try and see if it's for them. A lot of times it's not, and that's okay. But if you ever do get into content creation, slow and steady. Actually, in that CFC talk, I give some good answers to common questions I've received over time with YouTube. One of them being, how do you garner, I think, community? How do you start a YouTube channel? The biggest mistake I see people make is they go around, they make a YouTube channel, they make maybe 2 or 3 videos, and they go around Instagram and anywhere they can find, and they beg people to like and follow and subscribe and all that stuff. And this is not just origami. I see this everywhere for anything. Games, talk show channels, I don't know. You can name it. Any YouTube channel possible. People go out and they beg people to follow. And you guys, right? If someone came up to you and begged you to subscribe randomly out of nowhere, they didn't provide you any context. They're just begging you to give them your support. you probably don't want to, right? And if someone's channel is based on that reputation from the start, it's not very good, right? So I always tell people, and in my answer I said, you can't expect things from people. You can't expect them to give you anything. You need to be doing it, one, because you want to do it. It's fun for you. And two, if you want to get people to enjoy it with you, you need to give them something first. So you need to provide them value first. And you don't ask for their support. They'll give you the support if, you know, if it's deserved, if you gave them something valuable. My channel, and my Instagram, you know, you might think I have, you know, thousands of subscribers and stuff like that. I didn't even do subscribe if you haven't, drop a like or drop a you know, nowadays you have to do that. It's just, in general, you add that in a video somewhere. I forget most of the time, but most of my subscribers are not because of that. And even when I do that, it's in a video where I provided value. I already gave something out, right? It's not like I'm DMing people personally, sending out mass emails, begging people to subscribe without any context, right? You provide something first, you give it out, not expecting anything in return, but the people who appreciate it will give you a return. A lot of times without you having to ask for it. And that's the best scenario for starting community. It's a very good place to be in for your mental health as well, in order to not burn out. Because you're not relying on the return, right? You're relying on your ability to give, and it's a much healthier place to be giving than to be expecting, right, something else from other people. Giving is fun for some people, I guess. So if you're a content creator, hopefully maybe that's your mindset. Otherwise, you could easily fall into the trap of, you know, maybe a video doesn't do well, or maybe one video did really good, maybe even got 1 million views on a video, and your next 10 get a couple thousand. A lot of people will feel discouraged by that. If you can get yourself to a place where that's not the basis of why you do things, then it's gonna be a lot easier to continue. So that's why I don't burn out anymore. Sorry, that was a long answer to that question, but I am very passionate about stuff like that. So I hope that was a good answer for you all. And I forget who asked that, but Gold Line, great question. Great question. The voice is kind of lagging in between. Am I lagging, guys? I hope that audio stayed clear. Hopefully it's in the recording and it's not choppy. I made my own sandwich paper, managed to fold Robert Lang's California rock lobster. It was hard. Video tutorials, just loving. I hate to serve raw attackers. Good job, man. That is difficult. But that's an accomplishment, I should say. Mark, want to make a tutorial of the model I'm cooking? Mark, I think you should make a tutorial for the model you're cooking. Though that is up my alley. Human figures are definitely up my alley. You know, recently people have been asking me for stuff like airplanes and stuff. Like, I'm not gonna do an airplane tutorial or design one because that's not my thing. But humans, anime figures, anime girls, right? It's more up my alley. I'll be there soon for competition, boys. Thank you, Nora. I am trying to cook slowly for the speed competition. Guys, there's a speed design competition coming up in a week or two. Oh man, is it already a week? 2 weeks. 1 week. My goodness. The 20th. All right, I got to prep for that. Pay attention to me and the plant psychologist social medias to learn when that's happening, so you can sign up for it if you want to participate. Do you ever drink when you fold? I'm drinking all the time. Like, I've got coffee here. I've got water because I've been coughing a lot. I'm actually gonna have to go refill my water because my throat's starting to dry out again. Hershey, I gotta go. I finished about half the pre-creasing for this. Awesome, Hershey. Hope you enjoy. Nara, just text them if they want to ship to Bangalore. They're based in South India. I'll take any prompts. Or they click out our only website. Probably just was you messaged your Instagram account, I assume. All right, guys, I'm gonna take a quick break to get water and refill. I'm almost like coffee too, but I probably shouldn't have too much coffee since it's nighttime. Wow, the background music is very amped for origami. Interesting background music. I don't know how I feel about it. Okay, I'll be right back, guys. We'll be right back. People are asking, where did Boyce go? Where did Boyce go? He's gonna come back. He's just getting some water. Sit tight. Sit tight. All right, guys, I'm back. I basically got water. I drank all the water, and then I had to go back to get another glass. But my throat feels better now, so I think we're good. What did I miss? Daniel, I meant alcohol. Okay, there's a lot of people here probably can't or aren't old enough to drink alcohol, but I will say, there's some origami communities like in Barcelona, uh, where they fold at bars because it's a good place just to be social. They can ask non-origami folders to join in, and they fold and design stuff. This is the group Origami always OAS or Origami always succeed. I can't remember what their thing is, but it's the Barcelona folding group with Oriol Esteve and some other people, and they've gotten very popular from doing that and made books from those designs. And I'll say I've hung out with them, and it's a good time. Um, yeah, yeah. So it's a very big thing. I'm sure also in Japan there's a big drinking culture. Um, yeah, in moderation, responsibly, of course. Um, but yeah, I do enjoy. We actually even had a local meeting at a pub, I guess. It's like a bar and food place, very casually as always, but it's nice. Maybe you get some inspiration that you wouldn't get otherwise. Yeah, I think most people here are too young. Drop 5 people to hydration. It is what it is. Hopefully we get some people back. All right. Oh, what's up, Reza? Done with class and figuring out how to get toes. Nice, Reza. I think you can do that. So, like, if you look at this one, so with the thinner paper, right, the leg just naturally is longer because it doesn't compress as much. I'm pretty sure it's able to point split because on the Darkness Dragon, the legs are like that long. So you have a good chunk to like at least do some point splitting to do toes. And Reza, I can't remember, are you coming to Origami this year? I can't remember if you've told me or announced anywhere if you're coming or not. But will I see you there? All right, what's the next step here? This one. Darkness Dragon. It is the Dark Pocket Dragon. No, my parents are busy. We don't know anyone who'd pick me up at the airport. Ah. Rip, dude. All good. I will probably see you either at New York next or Peacock in the coming year. But I guess if you're folding this now, then you won't miss out on my class. Can you tell me how to order from Kagazi? Well, I can't tell you because I've never done it because I don't live in India. But I just message their Instagram account and ask. They should be able to tell you how to order from them. Next summer for sure. True. Before I go, have any diagrams I can check out and try to fold? Well, if you're able to make it, Daniel, to Paper Tree, I have diagrams for sale there. Exclusive little dragon diagrams. And it's There's some, it's not the easiest thing. Like the dragon looks simple, but it's a fun diagram, even for complex builders. So that's my recommendation if I'm gonna plug myself. Other than that, there's some on my shop if you haven't checked that out yet. The octopus ones, Reza can, who's in chat right now, he can tell you how fun those octopus diagrams are. It's pretty it's pretty cursed. There's some weird steps and weird sequence and maybe some partially incorrect steps or incorrect labels, but it's a cool design. It's unlike most origami octopuses out there. In fact, it's very different. To get one of the legs, it's so weird. So you can try that too. I recommend those diagrams. So maybe I didn't advertise that one very well. I'll say the little dragon. It's a good design with good diagrams. The octopus, it's an arguably good design with arguably terrible diagrams. But maybe that makes it fun, you know? And they're pretty cheap. I think they're like $5. The little dragon ones are more expensive. They're 10, but you get a physical copy. Thank you, Mark. Reza. Sorry for asking too much. It's okay. I understand your excitement to get your hands on origami paper. So with that involved, I wish you the best for talking to Kagaze. I hope it works out for you, actually. Where's Origami? It's in Boston, Massachusetts, at MIT, Massachusetts Institution of Technology. I think that's what it stands for. Attack of the Kraken. Okay, that one's also very different too. That's a cool design. That's Brian Chan's design. Brian Chan's awesome, by the way. I've gotten to be quite great. Quite, you know, a lot closer with Brian than I ever thought I would. So that's really fun. I gotta hang out with him more next time I see him. We chat a lot. He's offered me very good advice. We've hung out multiple times and even gotten meals together. It's great. Awesome dude. Oh, what's up, Neil? Not even Kami? Wait. Mark, okay, I'm actually starting to talk like an AI. Okay, thanks. Next time I go over to Os, yeah, for sure. And then feel free to take pictures of my models that you see there, because they're pretty cool. Never use origami paper. Not even Kami. Just A4? Wow. You should get your hands on some Kami. It's pretty cheap. Almost cheaper than the A4. Stab, bro, how did you get Ancient Dragon level without half decent paper? Yeah, I folded it with craft. Terrible, super thick craft, because I could get it for cheap and or for free from packaging. And the reason is because I just kept folding with what I had. You know what I mean? I didn't let that, my material, you know, my access to materials debuff the knowledge I could learn. And, or at least I didn't make that excuse for myself. So even with stuff like regular Kami, that's small, or A4, I actually did a lot with A4. Like a lot. To learn to shape better. That was part of my journey in getting better at folding, was to maximize what I could do with A4, which included shaping with glue, wetting it with water, you know, all sorts of stuff. With obviously the appropriate models for A4. but just elevating it as much as possible. And that gave me the shaping ability and the folding skills, so that when I got my hands on something like really large craft paper, I could fold it and make it look better than people folding with like tissue foil, you know, just because I was just, not to be like prideful or anything, but I was just better at origami than they were, even though I had not as good materials. I had more practice, I had more understanding of shaping, I had more experience. And then by the time I got my hands on good paper and I learned to make double tissue and I learned to treat paper and I worked a job so I could save up money to buy the equipment and everything like that, which was years down the line, it very quickly accelerated my skills. And now I've made all the guides and tutorials so you guys have an easier time achieving the same journey that I did with better direction. But yeah, if you don't, like, I recommend, this is seriously the best dragon. This is A4. Pocket dragon. It's the best dragon in terms of complexity to accessibility, if that's a thing. It's got big wings, proper sized legs, still a cool head, even though it's simple, a long tail so you can shape it. Obviously, you can shape it a lot or modify it. Let me grab another one. I think Daniel left already, but he mentioned banana paper. This is a pocket dragon folded with banana paper, and I even achieved eyes. And this is like no structural modification. I achieved eyes. I did some crimps for the wings. Right. I even got some spikes here, very simply. Still with a mouth. Same design. Not even that much larger paper, right? It's a great design. Let me pin that tutorial, actually. Let me try to find a link. Okay, I think I pinned the right message. Yeah, okay, cool. Kian, it's at MIT. Yeah. Thanks, Dab. I think I answered that. Did I answer that? Maybe he didn't hear me. Mark, I have a voice. I have a question. Can you show me your knee shaping after the? Oh, you mean this one? Yeah, dude. I can show that. Let's do that after. Yeah, I have a better sequence for this now too. Let me show you that. And then if I remember the ankle shaping, that has its own thing too. The best example was from the Bailu I gave box 2. But like you can kind of see it in this one. This one's not as well done. Because this is a cheaper double tissue here. But and I'm hiding this knee because this knee is very is much worse. It's like that. But yeah, it's I'll show. That's remind me, Mark, if I forget. But Rashi, I'm going kind of slow. I can speed up a little bit. So we'll get there. I think I did all of that. Okay, what do I have to do now? This. Daniel Lee. Hello, hello. How's it going, Daniel? It's my man Daniel Lee, dude. I hope you're doing well, Dan. We are folding some nice origami paper here. Dan, this origami paper was I got in person from my friend. We did a class together where he talked about how he makes this paper. He like buys the fibers, hand pulps it, hand treats, processes it, and then does like that thing where you put it into water and you lift it out, and it's crazy. And it's really good paper. And in that presentation, he shows the microscopic level of how tight the fibers are together to like scientifically prove it's strong. Really cool presentation that we did and that he taught. But yeah, so that's what the paper I'm folding. It's a very special paper. It's $10 for a single sheet of this stuff. So material costs alone, this origami will cost at least $10. Mark, yes sir. Sweet, sounds good, dude. Max, dude, it's so hard without origami paper. Well, good thing I made the Origami Ultimate Paper Guide, so you can get yourself out of having no origami paper. Remember, as I described earlier, it is a skill, not a requirement. It is only an obstacle that you can't overcome if you choose it, or if you choose not to overcome it. Even on my website, in the skill issue quiz, that helps people find where to get paper resources and stuff like that, or what things they need to focus on. I think I have under the paper section, like, study hard so you can, you know, get a good job where you can save money to buy origami materials, because like honestly, that's part of it too. For a lot of people, that's going to be a step to take in order to, you know, that might be what, you know, which some people might not have to do that, and that's nice, but I think there's a fair amount of people that's a valid step to think about. Like, instead of thinking you can't, that's a step you can think of, that, okay, I can do that. That gives me a reason to study hard, to work hard, you know, try to get a job so I can fold origami. That's what I did. So like, there's no excuses, basically. And I've seen a lot of people overcome a lot of obstacles internationally, you know, maybe living in a more remote area, and overcome their obstacles without, you know, any complaints. Or to them, maybe they worked really hard and like they just pulled it off because they love origami so much. They don't really talk about it, and they get there because they chose not to let their obstacles get in the way of what they wanted to do, which was origami, which is very inspiring. It helps me, so I don't complain, you know. I think I've gotten myself to a point in life where I realize there's no real use in making excuses for something. Did you see someone made your samurai with a A4 40 centimeter in Dan? Yeah, I've seen someone make it with really small stuff too. So maple syrup is the only person who's made my square twist samurai with like 30 centimeter paper with it actually looking good. There's a lot of people who've done it with not great paper, and sure, you made it, thanks for folding. Does it make me happy? No. Like, I made these paper guides, I give these recommendations so people can use them. But, you know, it's all right. If it looks really good, then you can do that basically. Then it's acceptable to me. But yeah, especially if you saw the first part of my Square Twist Samurai tutorial, that's a big disclaimer. I'm just letting you know straight up how it is. That's how I feel. It will not impress me if you do not follow my recommendations or pester me about if you can do it with other stuff. Because if a lot of times, like the people who would be asking that sort of stuff don't have the skill level of maple syrup to make it look good. You know what I mean? So it's like, say, don't waste your time. You know, it doesn't make me happy if that's what, if you want to get like a reaction from me, you won't get a positive one for doing it for that reason. So might as well watch my paper guide video and make yourself some good paper. Then everyone has a good time. I will say though, like the V3 Samurai, I made a decent one out of 30 centimeter paper. And like it was decent at the time. With my standards now, I would not consider it good. But like the model itself isn't very thick, so it's definitely possible. The Square Twist Samurai probably wouldn't be possible just because of the extra details and the different structure. Unusually early stream this time. Yeah. I started the shift to the 8 p.m. slot instead of the 2 a.m. slot. Just because I realized like a lot of my friends around me personally like have things going on Friday nights. So I can't even hang out with them at this time if I wanted to. So might as well stream now and then they're free later. Like midnight to 2 a.m. and I can hang out then. So might as well stream. And then streaming at 2 a.m. basically would prevent me from getting up early to do stuff on Saturdays. So I was like, you know, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's like I have something I need to do on Saturday, or like I'm giving a presentation in the morning on Saturday. So I need to like have that open. So this is the new streaming slot for now. And it's worked out. We're kind of hitting like there's a lot of folders from India right now. There's some folders from America. It's getting late for most America, like East Coast. It's 1 a.m. India, it's the morning, so that works really well. Unfortunately for Europe, it's smack in the middle of the night, so that's not that great. But speaking of East Coast, what's up, Guillermo? How's it going? Thanks for tuning in at 1 a.m. Boys, is double tissue good for slightly Yeah, double tissue is good for every single type of model, pretty much. If it's a super simple model, just use smaller double tissue. If it's really complex, you can fold Ryujin with double. I did Ryujin with single tissue, right? It's good for everything. Like someone said earlier, they said that they realized they can fold anything in the world with knowing how to make double tissue. That is absolutely true. Max, I will leave for a second for PDF. Okay. Recommend size 60 centimeter beginner. Can I fold it? Exactly, Nara. Exactly. It's like, what are you trying to say if you're asking that question, you know? I know people generally aren't trying to disrespect me, but it's like, do you realize how disrespectful that question is? But no, it's funny. I don't hold anything against anyone. I tested the Samurai version for the centimeter, not trying to. Yeah, the V4 even it's 50 centimeters is a lot different than 60 centimeters. For sure. 60 centimeter, amazing. 50 centimeter, nah. Oh, I forgot to collapse this in sequence, and I'm not supposed to do this yet. I'm supposed to do the legs first. It's Saturday. Yeah, exactly. It was single tissue, yeah. Speaking of reunion with single tissue. Of course, if it's mentioned, I have to bring it up. Now, the thing is, this is the incorrect answer to do reunion. This is too small, too thin paper. I recommend double tissue, not single tissue for reunion. I know mine might look nice, but it's because I practice a lot that I was able to do it at this size. And there's better reunions out there. This isn't even the best reunion. It's just good at certain angles. A few years ago. Nah, I'm just kidding. I did a pretty good job on this. But I don't recommend this size at all. And it is aging pretty toughly. Like the tissue's wearing out for sure. A double tissue, because it's got that extra layer with extra MC, it's gonna last a lot longer than this single tissue probably will. Especially living somewhere that's humid. Like a lot of these wrinkles are over time stressing the paper more and more. Like you can see on the inside of the curve, it's getting a lot rougher. The outside scales are generally fine, but the internal ones they're getting scuffed. Boys, can we fold a 3-headed dragon with 15 centimeter copy? See, it's funny because I've seen Guillermo fold more in person with extra large paper that Buddha with the 9-foot paper than anything. How big was Maple Square Twist Samurai? You can rewatch the Ebok video, or maybe it wasn't Ebok, maybe it was Peacock. I think they said it was 35 centimeters or 30. I think maybe 30. It was pretty small. The starting sheet, yeah. Hardest fold, repeat on their side. Valid. Yes, so true. Boy, what's up, boy? Thanks for joining the stream. Cube and a cube and a cube. It's best. Okay, cool. It's the best Rubik's Cube pattern. Nice. Fusion with bond paper. Yeah, no. Fusion's one of my favorite models. Yeah, it's a really cool one, man. It's pioneered a lot of complex origami stuff. It was way ahead of its time, for sure. I've never made it. Yeah, it's I only recommend it to people who are very good at origami to fold it, because it's such a big time commitment that you want the one you make to be very good. So like there's one person that they're sharing their process of learning origami, or of learning the ryujin and folding it with me. And the nice thing is, a lot of times I get people asking like, "Boys, what's your tips for ryujin? You folded yours crazy small. You know, what's your advice?" And I kind of give that same advice. I'm like, hey, if you're not ready for it, don't do it. You want to be very good already before you do it. And then even when you're very good, you want to be practicing the individual parts so that it's easy. Because if you guys were there when I was folding mine, the reason I folded it with that small paper was to prove to myself that it was easy. And then to have something to show for it. So if you can practice, like, and that's just a good way to practice things. You practice it until it's easy, right? You can use that same thought process in school, taking tests. Make it easy so that it's like guaranteed to be easy. And most people I tell that to don't listen to me, but this one guy is listening to me and actually set out to practice and learn the head, learn crease patterns, structures more, learn how to make the paper for it. And he's doing a great job. And I am pretty confident. I just saw the scale test fold he did today. I'm pretty confident he's going to make a pretty good Ryujin. Whereas a lot of the people who didn't listen to me made a Ryujin, but in reality it was just a mushed piece of paper with maybe some scales that were identifiable, but it was, if they're going to ask me if it looks good or not, in all honesty, it's pretty bad. But this guy who actually took time to listen, to improve first, and then make it, you know, practice it a ton, going to be an awesome region. So he has my respect for that. All right, this layer is not staying together as much as I'd like it to be. Force it to. There we go. Bro's roasting so hard. I'm being helpful by being truthful. I'm just kidding. Boys, this is a very funny pic of my Archangel folder with a 50 centimeter sheet. You can show it if you want. Okay, let's see. So Mark is very good at folding, by the way. I think Mark DM'd it to me. Let's see. So you see that face, right? That is a consequence of the 50 centimeter sheet versus using something larger where you can actually do real shaping. That is pretty funny, Mark. And I know there will be people who are like, oh, that's not that bad, right? Well, see, Mark is a really good folder, and Mark has standards for himself too, and that's what Mark calls a bad fold. Or a funny fold, at least. It's not necessarily that bad, but it depends who you ask at the same time and what response you want. And I know for Mark's standards is this is not good. Whereas Mark's real fold is super good. If you guys have seen that Archangel, which I featured in a previous video. See, the real one actually has expression and a shaped face, right? So that's what we call good. So if this is bad, imagine a crumpled fold, right? That's why I roast it so hard. It's because it especially depends who you're asking. If you're asking me, I didn't play second in IOIO for nothing. If you want a truthful response, I'm gonna give it to you. Is there gonna be a Works by Satoshi 4? I don't know. I don't have. I know people at Origami House. I do not really know what. I don't have any insider knowledge, so I don't know. I've heard rumors that there is, but no idea. It's Saturday today. Yes, you've said that I think 4 times now. I'm gonna leave for a second. Okay. Paper is stubborn. If you get a good fold Ryujin from Kami, like leave it. Yeah, exactly. It's like if you're gonna fold a Ryujin from Kami, you better be as good as leave-in is at Origami. And like 99% of Origami folders are not as good as leave-in. Leave-in is a Belgium origami artist who is very, very good at origami and art in general, and has folded some crazy small ryujins and ryujins out of considerably terrible materials to what I would recommend. But because he's just so good at origami, he can do it. Done with the pre-creasing. Nice, Nara. So one thing I'm noticing, because this cabbage paper is actually so thin, there's a lot of air getting in between these layers. It's making it slightly slower to fold this specific section. So they're doing legs like this is quite uncommon. So it's not really a bad thing. It's more so this design has a weird sequence that I'm using. That's it's less beneficial at the moment for thin paper. It's gonna benefit it later though in shaping, because the thin paper is gonna make these layers way thinner and allow for more. But the current time, it's a little bit fidgety. I think I got it. Just like that. Get this last reverse fold. Just like that. All right, there we go. Made a magic ball and set that on Discord. Nice. All right, so we did the legs. Okay, we haven't finished the legs yet. I'm wondering, do I finish the legs first and then do the... I think so. We finish the legs and then we do the head. And I think I'm going to teach this part by just saying you'll lie stretch. You don't need to pre-crease these. You just kind of eyeball where it goes. You make the first line and then you pleat accordingly. These ones don't really matter if they're super on point. I think here actually, I don't know, Reza, if you're still here. Instead of doing a structure like this, you might be able to start the legs in a little bit and have an extra pleat here for toes. Actually, let's try that. I don't think this is the way I'm going to teach it, just to save time for the class, but it's something you can do. And then even with that one extra layer, if you point split a little bit, it's gonna be a lot easier to add claws. Yeah. It's actually worked very nicely. Maybe I should teach it this way. This might actually be an easier collapse than this, at least because the center part doesn't go inwards at all. It terminates right here. It's technically a shorter leg, but you wouldn't really tell because the rest of the body blocks where it would have been. The only weird thing is that the ally stretch isn't naturally pre-creased, whereas it's naturally pre-creased in the other way. Yeah, maybe I'll modify the crease pattern because this isn't that hard of a change, even though it's not pre-creased. Like, I'm just straight up collapsing this without it being pre-creased. However, I do understand what an ally stretch is, and people taking my class might not. That's what I did. Nice. I mean, vibing to the music in the background. Yeah, the music's getting more and more hype. It's still supposed to be the chill background music, but it's been more hype. Are you using origami dough? I'm using cabbage paper. That's right. I'm using cabbage paper. Do you like chess? It would be cool to fold an origami chess. It would be pretty cool to fold an origami chess. I do like chess. You know, I watched like Gotham chess videos and Hikaru. I'm not good at it anymore myself. I played like one tournament when I was younger. Never had a rating or anything like that. But yeah, I was very entry level. I was maybe at that point in my life, maybe I was around 800 if I actually played, which is like very mediocre. But I was also like 12 years old, which is also globally very mediocre because there's some 12-year-olds that are like 2000. It's a fun game. I wanted to get back into it and study it now that like I know how to learn things, but I just simply do not have the time, unfortunately, to commit to that type of learning. All right, so collapse this. I want to make sure these are mountain if possible. I wonder if I teach it where you sync fold. That might be harder. Might be better just to have them collapse it like normal. Although this part's a little bit weird. Yeah, I think I should just leave it like... Oh, I know what I can do. I can have them collapse it like this. We fold this one first. And then... just a big reverse fold. It's a reverse fold and then a sync fold. I might have to refold it again when I get home and use bigger paper. Yeah, a bigger paper will definitely help, especially if you want to add claws. Well, 50 centimeters should be big enough. This is like 45. I think 50 is going to be bigger than what I'm using. Joe Nakashima's made one. True. What's up, Max? Yeah, Hikaru and Gotham are cool. My rating's 400. Recently started playing. Nice. I think once you have like fundamentals, you can gain elo You know, you keep practicing your opening. You just have a general understanding at what's correct, and then the less as you make less mistakes, you just gain elo, and you play a lot. Break got over 30 minutes ago. I need to go to math class. All right, have fun at math class, Kian. Thanks for tuning in. Are you not leaving? What? Bruh. Weird joke, but okay. Okay, and then now we have this. Hold it this way. Yeah, I might need to think of just a better folding sequence for this that's easier for people to understand. So there's a lot going on at once. Well, if they got this far, maybe they'll be fine with this box pleat collapse. I guess I could do it this way too, where it's more like a squash fold. I'll just have to make sure they pre-crease these mountain first. So I think if I have them invert the crease mid-collapse, it's going to be kind of hard. Into class. Oh, there's a bot in Twitch chat. I banned this, yeah. There you go. Got disconnected. Oh, rip, dude. Welcome back, Guillermo. Thanks for tuning in. You like the WWE? Nice. I never really got into WWE. I know I do like tricking and stuff, and now it's kind of similar where it's like martial arts for show. I knew Randy Orton, but that's as far as my knowledge goes there. When are the Monster Hunter folds coming? That's a good question, Dan. I haven't heard back from Capcom yet. I'm gonna send like a cold email to their creator thing as well. And even if I don't go in, maybe I need to just make some and then send it again. Try not to pester them too much, but yeah, a little bit more aggressive in showing what I can do and what I can deliver. And hopefully they'll bite, but we shall see. But I have some ideas planned. I'm making a tutorial right now for my samurai, as I've promised my subscribers. But after that, I am going to be grinding for that potential partnership. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll pivot to something else. I do still think it'd be fun to play the game on stream. If I'm not partnered, it might just become like a Twitch thing. Unless the people actually want to see me play Monster Hunters and or play Monster Hunters with me, like a viewer play. But I would still have like an origami segment of the stream where Like I'm playing the game to make some origami related thing. I've checked with Kakazi to see if they can send me paper. Nice. Yeah, just be respectful to them. And it should be good. I'm very excited for what that group has already accomplished and what they will accomplish in the future. Community work is a lot harder than people realize, and a lot of times they probably don't get the credit they deserve. But I recognize their hard efforts and the sacrifices they've done to, you know, promote origami in India, and I think that's super cool. A lot of very mature young people putting in a lot of effort and learning to give community, because they didn't really have it growing up, and now they've just made it. they've made their community, just super cool. It's the whole Theranos fine, I'll do it myself like meme, except like in a positive and cool manner of creating community. Max is done. Nice. Do another Western Dragon. Cool. Could you create a Brawl Stars character? My younger brother asking, he likes it. I also don't play Brawl Stars. And remember what I talked about earlier about how I don't make things I don't want to. So unfortunately, the answer is no. But I encourage you that you can learn how to design and stuff, and then you can make a Brawl Stars for your bro. He also likes watching me. Oh, thank you for the support. I'm glad he enjoys my origami as well. Does he fold at all? Okay, maybe I should do these reverse folds before I do the head as well. I'm gonna try to do it before I do the tail. See how that works out, because it might be easier for people to see what's going on. I feel like this riff is not copyright free. Is this still in the copyright free? It is. All right. Interesting. Is your paper thin? My double tissue is getting thicker in between. Yeah, I mean, this is cabbage paper, Nara. This is like 15 GSM. This is super thin paper. Although, like I said, this is tissue foil. This is like 40 GSM or 50. Is this the TikTok song? This is the TikTok song. This is Kami. It might get a little bit thick, but certainly after you collapse it and you squish it all together, it won't be so bad. Imagine that an oversized. That would be really cool. I think it would take longer than the event, but like if we had extra paper and did it afterwards, I think it'd work really well. I think even the pocket dragon would be a good one. Not necessarily this one, but the pocket dragon would be super cool to do. And it's because that one's a little bit more stable since there's less details, so it might actually work better with the oversized. Guillermo, if you can remember that, and if you attend the convention next year, uh, whether I am on in your group or not, you should do that, and or do it with me. Um, a lot of times, I'm probably going to be paired with whoever the guest is, but and folding one of their designs because they're a special guest. But this would be super cool to do. Or I guess if it's afterwards, then. Unless I'm busy, I can help with it. I mean, I guess people have done Ancient Dragons before. Just with the large paper, just not in the one sitting. I just hello, hello. Greetings. Thanks for watching the stream. All right, we're getting close. So yeah, let's do these reverse folds before we collapse the tail structure. I guess what I can do, if I run out of time when I'm teaching this class, we can just skip the tail because it's not that important. The tail is kind of like, what do you want to shape the tail as? I just gave the structure in case people wanted spikes. So I think spikes are pretty cool, but it's completely optional. It would be more important for people to leave the class with a completed dragon than the dragons all had spikes, but I may go to Origami, and I think I read somewhere they'll have oversized folding. Oh, when I was special guest there, I don't think we did oversized folding. But maybe this year Brandon had a sponsor for it, is able to find it. I'm not sure, but if you saw that somewhere, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know for certain, but that'd be neat. I too didn't pre-crease the tail part. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Like I think Nara, you'll be able to just shape the tail into what you want, and if you want spikes, you'll understand how to do it because you're just good at origami. You'll be able to figure it out. All right, so that's done. Maybe we can do this really quickly. The collapse for this was probably easier than the head, but then the second structure might be more confusing. That's cool. Thank you. Sorry, I like locked in there for a hot second trying to collapse this. You should definitely come to Origami though, Guillermo. Even if there's not oversized folding. It's a good convention. I think you would enjoy it. Alright, so here we're kind of doing a point split as well. Do I remember how I folded this? What did I do? Let me look at my crease pattern. Can't come to Origami, unfortunately. Yeah, if you said you live in India, I don't imagine anyone from India. I don't imagine anyone from a different country to be able to attend. Bisector, squash fold, pinch. Okay. Yeah, Origami generally is more of a domestically local convention anyways. Just because it's smaller. And kind of in the middle of the school year as well for a lot of people. Oh yeah, actually my tail spike method, I probably shouldn't teach this at the convention because I did a nice structure but a complex structure. So it would not be the greatest to teach. Probably. Yeah, the lineup models is really cool just by looking at the flyer. Yeah, I mean, the fact that Bodo's going to be there. I don't know how well you know of Bodo, Guillermo, but he is one of the most talented folders of our generation. So... And as in our generation, I'm talking about like anyone under the age of 40, I guess. Right. So it's a pretty broad range, but that just kind of explains how good Bodo is. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I've seen his models. Bodo's super talented. Yes. Speaking of Bodo's models, I own one. Signed by Bodo. Bodo. This is Jaguar with naturally color changing spots. You can see how natural the color changes, that even in the spine you can see the color change for where all the paper layers meet. This is one of my Origami treasures. I won this from a competition that Bodo ran, which was a video contest, and the video I made was about making origami paper or making double tissue with a glue stick instead of like a wet form of glue or something like that. Cool. Yes, thank you. Wow, thank you. All right, so now we're on the wings. Here, maybe I'll flip the head up so we can see that it's here. Free the head. We still have to do like the eyes and everything. All right, and then now this wing structure that Tadashi has in the tutorial is actually very interesting. It like a lot of time, I think in the crease pattern, I just show it like valley folded up like this. But Tadashi in his tutorial is like, oh, if you fold, you can actually get more distance by using an angle fold to the corner of the wing and swiveling and squashing the paper deeper than where we naturally have hinges. Just because all the rest of the layers are actually free to open up. You get a larger wing like this. This is such a genius way to extend the range of a wing. Then here's my modification, is we can now use this extra point that I've creased to fit into the pocket of the wing to keep it in place. Join late. What's up, Anert? Thanks for all your origami efforts. Thank you for thanking me. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you find it useful. Which paper is this? This is cabbage paper. So I kind of explained why I think cabbage paper is currently the best origami paper out there. Since you missed that, after the stream is over, you can probably go back and find a segment describing why I think this paper is the best origami paper. But for now, you can enjoy some folding with as I'm folding a modification of Tadashi Mori's Pocket Dragon with his Darkness Dragon with this paper. It's a very nice paper. I've had a lot of fun folding it so far. Earlier there was a step where I had to invert quite a lot of creases, and even for a thin paper, it handled that just fine. Also, you can probably see it's nice and sparkly. It was made like that, so like the sparkles are all really nice, and the dye is good. It's just overall such a beautiful paper and very fun to fold with. Hydrate. Yes, I probably should hydrate. Thank you for that reminder. It's really amazing. I am glad you think so. It's not really looking like a dragon, right? We were sitting there for quite a bit without it looking like a dragon yet. There we go. So if you guys have stalked my Instagram and went back to like 2018, you would have actually seen a darkness dragon where I posed it with his horns up and the wings up like this. Different to how the darkness dragon is normally shaped with his wings forward. But even in this stage of folding where it hasn't been fully done yet, that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just like this. Actually, with this paper, it's holding the creases so nicely. Like the layers aren't even bouncing that much. Whereas in like the Asian Mulberry paper, the paper is just bouncing. It's not holding the creases as well as this is. It's thin, resistant, crispy, delicious, nutritious. Yeah, all the things you could ever think of. That is it. Okay, so I think next... Now, the wings, we could fold them forward, like the Darkness Dragon, which I think we will, just to make it look cohesive. But let me try to do these wings. Or sorry, the eyes of the head. Which is the most challenging part of this model when the paper is smaller. Because a small paper means the eyes are super tiny. So we're gonna do like, let me actually zoom. Look at this. And this is why it's nice that my fingernails are a little bit longer right now, so that we can fold this. We'll be coming to the US in November. We'll try to get some Legion mulberry paper and cabbage paper to bring back to India. Whoa, awesome in here. Are you coming to Origami if it's in November? Or I guess Origami is like beginning of November. But yeah, while you're in the US, I think cabbage paper has his, or the Etsy shop is up. So as long as wherever you're staying, you could probably order it too. Same with Legion Mulberry. If you're near a Blick Art store or just order online from Blick Arts, you should be able to get it. I'm gonna use tweezers for this next part. It's just too small. Yeah, you'll be able to get some of this paper. Started late, but I'm keeping up with you. Yeah, I'm going pretty slow at this point. I'm generally a very slow folder, so I'm not surprised if you pass me very soon, Nara. I think what I should do is actually start this valley fold without it folded in place, so I have more room to... There you go. And the key is not really just folding one, it's to get them to be the same size. So there's one eye. See if we can get the other one the same size. It's a little small, let's make it a little bit bigger. It's too big now. Let's move it back just a tad. And I think that's good enough. But we need to scoot the other fold in just a tad. There we go. It's close enough. It's not perfectly the same size, but I don't think anyone's going to notice once the head is folded in half. I guess you can only see one eye at the same time. I'm sleepy. I slept at 2 a.m. watching Twitch and YouTube. Nice. Thank you for watching on Twitch and YouTube. And IHS, thanks for tuning in with the stream. I'll see you later. Alrighty, so we'll finish this up. I don't think I'm going to fully shape the dragon just because wet folding will take too long. And I know Nara is interested in seeing the, or not Nara, well, maybe Nara too, but I know Mark is interested in seeing the knee structure I've been working with. And whether or not, I don't know if Mark's still here actually, but even if he's not, or not here by the time I get to it, I'll have it in the recording for Mark to watch. Okay, so here's a squash fold. Yeah, there's some shaping steps I actually didn't include in the crease pattern that maybe I should. I just kind of forgot. See, but I think this is in the original Darkness Dragon. This is squash fold for the horns. Stream's almost over. Maybe. I think we have like 30 minutes left. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. After this, I do plan on still working on the Square Twist Samurai tutorial after the stream. So, unfortunately, can't stream all night long. Okay, for these horns, let's just do a little rabbit ear. I'm almost done with this fold, though. But the goal of this stream is to at least finish this dragon fold. So we're definitely gonna get through that. Boys, if you can check the tail, I've DM'd you. Okay, cool. Let me see what you've done, Nara. You want me to show it on stream? Oh, nice. Boys, if you deserve at least 1 million subs, you're talented. Thank you. I really hope I hit that one day. Here, Nara, I'll zoom in. This is Nara's tail. Got a cluster of spikes. I like that. This actually reminds me a lot of Monster Hunters, where a lot of the tails are like a cluster of spikes instead of just like segmented spikes, kind of like what I have currently. Wow, and Reza finished his a while back. I see. Wow, Reza is really fast. Okay. That's very cool. So here I'm doing some 3D crimps around the horns without having, while making it still look round a little bit. It's not like a full reverse fold where you can keep some of the volume and then not sacrifice as much of the length of the horn. Did you notice the STS? I did notice the STS in the background. I like the color. Little sneak preview there. I'm excited that you're folding it. And is this your second time folding it? Is that right, Shangnara? I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. I think my camera focus is not shallow enough for what I'm doing. Guillermo, I gotta see that spike cluster structure at the tail of the tip. Want to know if it can be grafted onto Saku's Nargacuga model. You can hit up Shangnara for the crease pattern, maybe, if he makes it. For that cluster. Because, yeah, the Nargacuga in rage mode in the game has gets that cluster of tails spikes that it launches at the player, and also deals a ton of damage when it does a tail slam move. It's like the signature Nargacuga move. Yeah, they have venom. That's right, you get the poison blight. I have to take an antidote to get hit by that. It also has a lot of KO damage. So if you get hit by an attack right before the tail slam and then get hit by the tail slam, if it didn't cart you, you probably will be KO'd, and then won't be able to take your antidote and you'll get carted then. It's the classic Nargacuga experience. This kind of makes the fight really fun. It can be very punishing very quickly. Okay, I didn't fold this horn as precisely as the other one. Let's give me a little bit more trouble. Okay, there we go. Yeah, do you play the Monster Hunter games, Guillermo? I can't remember if I asked you much. I know you know about the dragons quite a lot. If so, are you planning on playing the new one that releases February next year? Kian doesn't. Gotcha. Well, it is probably my favorite series, video game series of all time. It's the Monster Hunter series. It's really cool monsters, really cool world building, really cool character creation, character design, and armors. Obviously some very cool dragons. What's STS? Square Twist Samurai. That's the short name. If you look at my channel, that's the most recent video or tutorial out. It's for the STS. I did not play, I just really like the monsters, specifically dragons. Hey, that's totally fair, man. I know we're both working, so we don't have a whole lot of time to play games or anything, but if you do, that is definitely a good one to try. Even like the development cycle of that game is really cool to observe amidst the rest of the gaming industry, because they had a huge hit with Monster Hunter World. Super big release, very widely accepted and a lot of sales, basically. You know, especially it was like the first time it was bigger in not Japan, especially for that series. Um, and it was like the first time it was releasing on next gen consoles and stuff like that. So big win. And a lot of times, games when they have a huge release, studios, especially big game studios, which Monster Hunter is hosted by Capcom, which is a giant studio, right? Generally will just try to make another big game as a sequel to ride the hype. And I learned this from a guy, his name's Thor. His YouTube channel is Pirate Software. He's a game developer, but he mentioned like the more sustainable practice, especially whether it's a big studio or a small studio, especially for smaller studios, is if you have a hit for a big game, the next game you make should be a small game. Because a small game, it doesn't eat up a ton of extra budget, right? It's anything you have budget for it, you planned for it, you can make the game easily, whether or not it is a big success like the other game. But it doesn't have, or basically it doesn't have to be a big success like the other game, because you have your new client base, you'll probably make money on it because you didn't have to use a big budget for it. And that smaller game can then fund a long-term bigger game. So then to create the bigger game, you're not relying on like just a 1 year, 2 year revenue or budget to try to produce something bigger. You can have a long-term sustained, income to finance a big project. And then the big project doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be as big of a financial success. Or even if it isn't, it won't kill the company. They can just keep making games. And Monster Hunter kind of does that. They had Monster Hunter World. They released a free DLC for that game to keep the player base going. Then they released a paid expansion for the game. So again, that's a smaller additional thing. They didn't have to recreate a whole game. They didn't have to spend as much budget. You just add to the game. It helps them pay for it. They add DLC to that, free DLC, and within that time frame, they're developing a much smaller Monster Hunter game, which is aimed at consoles, where they can demo new features. Because this is a smaller game, they made a bunch of changes, and this was Monster Hunter Rise and Rise Sunbreak. There's a bunch of new features they could test to see what people liked and didn't like in order to put into their next big game, which is coming out next year. So it's been, I think World came out in like 2017, maybe 2018. So like this is like, a 6-year development cycle, very well sustained to produce a really big game well, and with a sustainable budget. So I applaud like the developer team for just thinking about that. They don't have to do slimy, things like battle passes or paid, weird stuff, pay to win stuff. It's a very nicely developed game. The paper sounds like dry seaweed. Yeah, honestly, it feels like it a little bit. The texture, it's kind of how it operates, which is very satisfying. It probably doesn't taste as good as dry seaweed though. I used to play a lot of Final Fantasy before, and the dragons are absolutely epic. Yeah, Final Fantasy is also a really cool game. I haven't played much Final Fantasy, but I've seen a lot of like the gameplay and just buzz in general around it. Really cool stuff, both, and also a great game that exhibits some cool like character creation that they've made, some cool storylines, very good branding as well. Final Fantasy has really cool dragons. Monsters deserve to be organized. I feel like maybe some of the Japanese designers or Chinese designers have done stuff from Final Fantasy, but some of those designs might have been lost to the internet like years ago when it's not as popular, I don't think, in the origami scene right now as it might have been in the past. Will there be member review today? No, I'm gonna do that probably next week or the week after. Do you know a slightly complex model to make with double tissue? Pocket dragon. Try a pocket dragon with double tissue. It'll be very fun. Speaking of Final Fantasy, I think the Bahamut by Satoshi Kamiya is based on something. Oh, there you go. There you go, Guillermo. Bahamut from Satoshi. Actually, yeah, I think Satoshi has even some Final Fantasy stuff that's like not in a book or anything, but it's just crease pattern on his website. Again, I don't know enough Final Fantasy stuff to know for sure, but that's a potential. Who made the Ancient Dragon? Satoshi Kamiya as well. All right. I am once again out of water, so I will be right back and refill. So you guys hang on tight. I think we're losing a lot of viewers. It's getting later at night, so all the Americans are gone. I think I'm gonna end stream pretty soon. I'm gonna do maybe one of the wings just to finish off, and then, or maybe both the wings to finish off. I don't think I'm gonna do too much with the legs right now, because I want to experiment in toe point splitting for the toes. But I will also be doing the leg shaping very quickly, just kind of showing how that works. Long stream, just a little bit. What are we at? 3 hours? Yeah, not too bad. I used to stream longer. But okay, I'll be right back. I need some water. My throat is starting to die. So yeah, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Sorry, my throat was starting to die. Alright, let's finish off this dragon. So for the wings, I kind of just keep it pretty normal. I could probably do something real fancy here, but it's not really a need to. Just so we can identify it as a darkness dragon. I'm back to you. What's up, Mark? All right, I'm almost done with this, so that way I can show the leg shaping pretty soon. So good timing actually. All right, why do we have a pre-crease there but not on the other side? Oh. Is here. And Nara's back as well. Everyone's back. Let's go. Hello, hello. Phone died. Rip. I saw your picture there, Nara, of progress on that Square Twist Samurai face. Alright, I think so. In order to get it to curve nicely forward, we might need to do a little bit of wet shaping. So there's no actual creases like keeping this forward at the moment, so for now it's actually the paper's light enough that it's kind of staying upwards, which is very interesting. A lot of times with a paper that isn't internally sized like this one is, the paper would just droop, but because I've pushed it down now it's drooping, but before it was like standing up pretty well on its own. But there you roughly have it. That is kind of the darkness dragon or dark pocket dragon. Now I'm going to be doing some other shaping later. Obviously I'm going to do more on the legs and probably add some nice things to the neck and for the tail. I'm also going to thin out these spikes a little bit to make them a bit more aggressive. But not too bad. I think we folded this in like 2 hours and I was like very slow and distracted. But we had some great conversations during the stream. So I'm going to put that to the side now and we'll tackle our last kind of topic for the stream. And that's a combination of doing this knee shaping and giving a quick update on the Square Twist Samurai. There are so many dragons on my desk right now on the side there. Alright, so Square Twist Samurai. Collapse is coming along. We've gotten pretty good distance so far. For anyone wanting to work on it, this is the sequence that we're using. So as you can see, I did the torso pleats horizontally. I did the vertical pleats for the hat, and then extrapolated those. And then top down, but it's basically top so that we can do the middle, which is all the crazy stuff. But as you can see, it's a very sequential type of collapse. I think I found the easiest way to teach, at least, which is a pretty decent way to fold it, where you can fold everything without a lot of the flaps and layers intercepting each other. I think when people just do the crease pattern, they might be doing too much of the details at once, just because they're not aware of what everything is. But with the tutorial, it should be a lot easier. So I'm working on this arm. It's going to fold into the torso, and then we can do all the crazy face stuff. As you can see, there's some pre-creasing here. It's going to get pretty ridiculous actually collapsing that down. And then the legs. Remember I said the face is old. The rest of the model is completely shaped. I see. Face is looking not bad. I like the teeth there. The legs, I think, have one of the harder collapse sections just because it's weird. So I've like made some examples smaller of that structure so I can show people like how that transition works. So hopefully that'll help with the tutorial, but that should be on its way. I'm going to be working on it a lot later tonight and tomorrow. I don't know if I can promise that'll come out next week or how early it'll come out, but that's the goal. All right, let's do this. We'll use blue for this. Expensive for one. I find that expensive. Well, here's the thing, kid. Like, a lot of work and knowledge goes into making double tissue that good. So you can either pay the premium and not have to, and like, it's just is what it is, or you can learn to make it yourself. So it's like there's two sides to it, right? Do you try to learn a new skill and it's cheaper with only like a one-time cost for the setup, or do you buy it from someone who already has the setup and who has the knowledge to make it very nice, and it's relatively expensive, right? I mean, this cabbage paper is $10 US. I don't know what that converts to in your currency, but I assume like $10 US for one sheet of paper is expensive in my currency. I'm pretty sure internationally, the dollar to whatever else, it's could be pretty ridiculous. But again, it's because I respect that Matt has put so much work into understanding how to actually hand make paper. That is worth it to me, because I'm not going to learn how to pulp paper, buy the whole setup, and do it myself. That's crazy. Now, double tissue is a lot easier to actually do the setup yourself, because I've taught how to do it. So you can kind of decide what's worth more to you, whether you want to buy a setup and do it yourself, or you want to buy from Kagazi, which supports origami artists, and then you have paper to fold with. All right. Mark, for this, I'm just going to fold it this very quickly into like an 8 grid. We don't really need a grid for this. This is just representing like, okay, if you're going to do this on like a box plate model, we're going to try to simulate the layers. And 8 is generally like what people use for legs, I think. So 8 grid works for a leg. Now, the exact grid points won't really reflect here what it could on an actual model. Like the Bailu, this is like a 6 unit leg. Right. So it's a much shorter leg, but it's the same principle kind of applies, and the proportions work if you shape it correctly. And I got this from Paper Forger, and I think he said, oh, maybe I can't remember. Maybe it's like 2/5 is generally the thigh, and the rest you can use for the knee, the calf, and the ankle, which will take up space too. That might not be exactly right. Actually, I can't remember, but you kind of eyeball it. You can kind of eyeball it and guess. In this case, this was also an 8 grid, but as you can see, I shortened it here because I did way too much thigh before I did need to. But now it looks more correct. The proportions are the same I used on Hime. Oh, right, it's for your model. On my Hime, I think it's 9 maybe? 8 or 9. 9 maybe because I wanted some more foot details, or the dress detail, like on the boot or whatever. Can't remember, but regardless, should kind of be the same. It's less so worry about the proportions, more so worry about the fold. So the first thing is like, first you need to decide where the top of your knee is. So let's say that's like, I don't know, somewhere right here, right? Next, what you want to do is we're gonna have a valley, and the valley is around 1 grid unit in space from wherever the top of the knee was. Now this depends on your pose, but for like a neutral pose, you can kind of just go for 1 grid unit like this. Keep in mind, this is 8 grid units. This is imagining it as level shifted out. And we're gonna do, so we have that valley fold, right? Now from here, I'm gonna like basically do a 3D crimp. So not really any specific type of fold. I want it round. I don't want to just fold valley folds like a rabbit ear. I'm going to try to make it more 3D. So I'm starting in the corners and creating something like this. And the goal is to kind of go for a 90-degree angle. You don't really have to, but this is whatever angle this is. Or actually, you probably shouldn't do a 90-degree angle to be too aggressive. But whatever this angle is going to be the angle your knee sticks out. So again, this is kind of up to you how far you want your knee to stick out. The nice thing with a 3D crimp is you can always adjust it by leveraging back and forth, right? And then recreasing where you want it to be. I found that more aggressive is generally better earlier, because it'll probably be less later. So we have that 3D crimp. Right, now I'm going to unfold it. And then what I want to do is, so our top of our knee is supposed to be here. I'm going to add mountain folds. That go pretty close, like straight down. It's like a little bit angled to like this angle. Actually, it could probably even just be straight down. It might not even need to be angled. Down from the knee, the top of the knee, and it's gonna be somewhere in here. And like once you have that set, you're going to do like a crimp with this mountain fold. So it's like a crimp like this. And the valley, it doesn't really matter where the valley is. You just kind of want it to exist. And then mimic the same thing on the other side, so that you have the same angle. Right, something like that. I went a little bit too deep. Let's do a little bit less. See if that. And see, it kind of crossed over my 3D crimp. But now you're gonna replace your 3D crimp while doing that other crimp. And what happens is these layers start to fight each other, but you can resolve it with some certain swivel folds. So let's get this crimp first, I think, and then try to do the 3D crimp. Basically on the corners here, they will kind of pop up to then enable that other crimp. Like this. This one got messed up a little bit. So it kind of happens at the intersection where the mountain fold part of the 3D crimp reaches the mountain fold of the other one. I did something weird on the right side. It worked nicely on this side. I don't know what I did to the other side, but it's not working out as nicely. But regardless, you can just try to crimp it. And stick that 3D crimp. Okay, yeah, I really messed up the other side, but if you look at this side, the structure should look something like this. And in fact, I think I didn't fold this one deep enough to get the knee back up. Also, I might have gone too steep, so maybe this was too steep of a angle for the 3D crimp. A lot of times when I did this in the past, it was literally just eyeballing. So you might have to eyeball a little bit more and adjust it as you're working with it. So there's proportions I mentioned in the beginning. Maybe don't listen to those. And just kind of feel out where it should go. But that's kind of how you get these creases. Because when you do it on actual model, what you'll find hard is actually getting these things to stay in place while you're trying to work on the other part of the crimp. So it's like two combined crimps that are fighting each other until it's like settled. All right, we're just gonna say it's like that for now. I'm just gonna show this side because the other side's messy, but you can see how that is pretty similar to this. And then as you can see, I tuck this corner in. So like after, what holds in place is once you finish this part of the swivel fold, you can just fold that in, and that kind of starts to create the top of a calf. Right? And then the rest of it will be the thigh later on, once you have both sides. And then now for the ankle, it's actually kind of the same thing, but in the opposite direction. So do a 3D crimp. And in some of my other tutorials, I've stopped here, right? But for this ankle, we can do a little bit more. So then I'm going to add almost like a second crimp where I'm thinking of like the top part of the ankle being a unit. Actually, I'm going to make this a little bit more aggressive. And add a crimp here. Just barely. Can make the crimp a little bit deeper to get this at like a better foot angle. Sorry guys, I am missing a lot of chat right now. I'm just going to finish this off really quick and I'll answer you guys. Alright, so we have something like this, which doesn't really look like anything yet. And these proportions might be off. You might not have this much paper for the foot. But now I want to complete the calf. So I'm going to do a pleat for the calf. So I'm doing a mountain fold where I think the calf should be, right? And because we have everything else there, it kind of is going to make a swivel fold. Like this. And it's going to be pulling some of those layers that we used for the ankle. And then I think what you want to, I think what I normally do is now I extend that pleat down a little bit and then reform the 3D crimp around that pleat. And it kind of like locks in the shin swivel fold that we did. Into that 3D crimp. I definitely did not get the proportions right here, but that's okay. All right, and then we put back the second crimp. And now we have like a lot of extra paper here. So this, I just do a big mountain fold that goes through all the swivels down to the corner of the paper. And this helps lock that giant 3D crimp together. And what we're left with is we have more of a plane in the foot, which we can start to flatten out. And then all this paper to turn into like a shoe. And we can make it a little bit more boxed. So like you can see that this foot has more of a box than like a flat shape. There's more like, it keeps the plane of the shin more than just doing a simple reverse fold would give you. So this will let you like even if I just fold in half here, we still have a bit more presence in this area to do a foot or a shoe or something like that than we would if we just had a plain structure. So, okay, that was kind of poorly taught and poorly shown, but we have like an actual defined like ankle structure and space to do some sort of more three-dimensional foot. Right, like I could just do something like this to get toes. Now, oftentimes you're not making a barefoot person, so you don't really need toes, but like if you wanted toes, right, there's your definition for a toe. Then you just like swivel fold down and curl it to shape. Right, and you kind of have more of a foot shape and a calf shape in structure instead of just shaping. And then from here, shaping a structure is easier than raw shaping it into a plain flat. So hopefully that kind of made sense. Maybe I'll show it a better. There was like an actual sequence or a little bit better sequence with proportions that I did before for this knee, but that's like roughly how you get that structure. I think maybe it's not a full grid unit here. Maybe it's like half a grid unit to actually get that knee the right proportion like this. But like generally, that's how you do it. Sorry guys, that was a lot. Hopefully that answered Mark's question. And if anyone else was curious on this type of thing, on how you do legs, and my current thoughts towards leg shaping, this is how much effort I spend on each of these legs to get something. Actually, I spend more because I take my time to get something that looks like this instead of something that looks like this. And then to put it into a model. Which again, this was kind of fast, but like you can see how much volume this leg has. And if you look at the Bailu from the one I actually folded, my post, it's like even better. Oh, you can't really see it a leg here, but yeah, it's a useful structure. It's just kind of hard to do. Advanced origami, right? Nothing's easy, but it's doable. All right. That's the end of that. Let me reach out a little bit and then we're going to end stream. Illustration chosen by Noble Committee is a crane. Oh, awesome. Ancient Dragon should use 50 or 30 centimeters. Favorite, you should use 50 centimeters. Color should make Ancient Dragon whatever color you want. That's the most important thing, is what you want. Let's see, 60 centimeters. Yeah, Ancient Dragon, the bigger, the better. Nara wants someone with decreased power to the tail. Yep. Okay, they're DMing each other. Make your hairstyle proper. Your one side hair is... My man, it's been 3 hours, almost 4 hours of the stream. I'm sorry my hair has undone itself. We did some aggressive folding. Thank you, I guess. It's kind of weird. Thomas, what is going on? We were folding. I think I answered that. They go too steep. It'll buckle too much. True. Got it. Thanks. Thanks for Boise teaching how to fold a knee. Yes, the knee. Pinged you random DMs. Yeah, I'm there. Knee looks good. Actually, yeah, this looks better than I thought it was going to turn out. But it generally, it's a little bit too long still. We can shorten the thigh a little bit. It'll look a little bit more natural. There we go. Something like that. Yeah, if you do it correctly, like everything should kind of feel like it locks together. I asked for the knee and stayed for the barefoot class. Maybe you can even fold a little apex of the ankle. Yeah, that's what this is supposed to be. If you take more time, you can shape it at the more correct angle to have that apex of the ankle, right? But that's like the goal of having that there. But yeah, okay. I think with that, that was enough origami for today. I'm going to go off stream and do more origami, make more videos, more content for everyone with the square twist samurai tutorial. But that's all I'm going to be showing today on stream. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget, we are live almost every Friday, unless I'm gone, right? Or have some announcement, which I'll put in a community post, but you can expect a stream next Friday. And I believe the Friday after that. And then I go to Origami, and there'll be content made there that'll be really exciting. And I think by then the full Square Twist Samurai tutorial will be out. Also super exciting. So while you wait for future content or future live streams, you can be working on your Square Twist Samurai. Today we had a lot of fun. We kind of succeeded our goal in folding the... maybe from this angle, it'll look like I completed the dragon. The Dark Pocket Dragon. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you thought or what you're folding or what you're working on next. And I'll see you very soon in some future videos. So yeah, thank you everyone. This is a great time. We had some good conversations. Goodbye, Nara. Goodbye, Guillermo. See you, Mark. Thank you for being the best mod as always. Thank you, Spot, for tuning in. Thank you, Thomas. I'll see you guys later. All right. And we are out.